it's time for another Rage Select podcast. I tell you what, Nick, I'm going to do everything from here on out in my worst Texas accent.
I was about to say, that's a proper Texas accent.
Just barbecue and steers. I'm wearing a plaid shirt, and it's going to be
some good old sarsaparilla.
We're going to make this website all about rodeos and two line dancing. I was going to say two-stepping and all that horrible southern shit. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Rage Select Podcast. It's funny because...
You're not actually from Texas?
No, I am fully from Texas. I was born and raised right here in Austin, Texas. But I've got Yankee ass parents, and so when you're a kid, you kind of like you take on the vocal stylings of your parents, and I never got much of a drawl. I know there's a little bit of it, and I'm sure to you and your proper British, the Queen's English or whatnot, that I'm sure that it...
hell, mate, I'm half immigrant myself. My mother's Croatian, my father's English, so I got the most fucked up accent. Like, any English person will tell you that I sound Australian to them or something.
Does it? Okay, so I've often heard that that to people from other countries, a lot of times, that the American accent, it sounds like everybody here is kind of like talking with a southern accent, because so much of proper English is very correctly enunciated, whereas here we've got all that horrible Boston stuff, we got that New York stuff, we got all the southern stuff, but it just kind of sounds like everybody's drawling out all the time over here. Is that right?
I think it's like there's the general American accent that is the same for everyone all over the place. Like, I've got friends from New Jersey, from Chicago to Los Angeles that all seem to have the same accent. Mm-hmm. But then you've got like some Americans that have a very specific accent that is particular to their city or the region that they're from or something. So I have no idea what it is. I mean, to me, you have like just the general American accent.
Yes, generic white guy achieved. You're like, and you, Jeff, you just sound like everybody. There's nothing really very distinctive at all about the way that you sound. No.
Please don't think less of me, okay? I'm only an Englishman, all right?
No, I'm a generic white guy. Like I've accepted that. I'm a very, just a. What do you like? I don't know. Hamburgers, video games, rock and roll. Like, I wear T-shirts and jeans. It's like, yeah, I don't really care.
There's nothing wrong with any of that stuff. That's all good.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, we've got a weird bunch of news this week. But before we get into there, Nick, what's going on? Are you like you're an internet sensation now, right? You're getting invited to all the Hollywood parties with Jason Murphy. It seems like every time I do a show with somebody that everybody's getting their famous success on, except for my ass, and I'm just still here like, hello everybody, welcome to podcast number 112, where we're going to talk about video games.
Dude, the fact that you got podcast 112 is amazing on its own. Okay, like, I'm just like starting off. I've had like 2 videos on my channel and just 2 fucking podcasts, like one of which was just like, by the way, guys, like, if you see any videos being blocked, just don't think less of me, okay? I'm trying my best here, okay? I'm learning as I go. Leave me alone.
I judge you, Nick. I think we all. You're on YouTube now. You're just gonna have to get used to the fact that we're all constantly judging you all the time for every single thing that you say.
Not really, because a lot of the people who come onto my channel are from Rage Select, and every single one of their comments has been nice. I haven't found like one nasty comment yet so far.
Okay, so what you're saying is that you need me to fire up one of my sock puppet accounts.
No, I didn't say that. Okay.
Nicky Poo, blah 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 blah. You don't know anything about video games.
You have no idea how many people have just shouted out like Nicky Poo. I'm like, am I ever gonna like get that name down?
No.
Am I ever just gonna go off on my own and just like become my own, sort of person? I'm gonna be fucking Nicky Poo for the rest of my life as long as I'm on YouTube.
Actually, eventually, I think eventually you're gonna find your audience of people, and that eventually that will go away, because I don't know if you know this about me, Nick. I don't know if in fact, I don't even know if the Rage Select audience knows this about me, and I hesitate to even say this, but from the age of about 19 until I was around 20, I mean, it actually has taken a lot lot of people that I've known leaving my life, right? Just moving away from my life and changing a few jobs and things like that. I had a nickname, and I had a nickname that people, like my friends, my best friends, they didn't call me Jeff. They called me by my nickname. And it was given to me, you know, I don't know if you know the official American nickname rules. I don't know if have you ever had yourself a full on, like, not just adding poo onto the end of your name, but like a full on, like they call you, you know,
Corey called me party starter. I don't know if that counts.
No, I'm talking about like a whole different name, so that like your friends, when they see you at the bar, they'll just be like, "What's up, Marmalade? How you doing today?" And then you're just like, "Oh, what's going on, guys?" It's like, "Hey, and I got Biff, and there's Zip Tie and Funyun," like, you know, that kind of horrible like frat boy mentality, right?
It's like, are you in a Broadway musical or something? Like, what the fuck is that?
So well, when I had mine, it was that there was one rule, and the rule was you can't. And so it started with me and these guys that I worked with, and it was like, you can't pick your own nickname, and you can't veto the nickname that we've all picked for you. And so you'd be like, well, so they were like, and we have yours, and it is, and this is the place where you put the drum roll in, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Skippy. They called me Skippy, and they called me Skippy.
Wait, what? That was your nickname?
That was my nickname, and everybody would call me that.
Skippy, like Skippy the kangaroo.
Well, you know,
Australian kids show.
That wasn't. I think that I don't know if it. It was probably more likely to have come from the peanut butter than anything else, because. Right. But the thing is that, like, you know, I knew people. I had friends that I had known since high school, and that's what they would call me, even though that name came up after high school, and it went on for a long time. And basically, I used to, back when I used to work in the tech industry, and I would be at a job where there was like a million Jeffs in the building. It's like, you know, here's Jeff H and Jeff Z and Jeff Q and Jeff Omega and, you know, Super Saiyan Ultimate Jeff. I would say, call me Skippy to people, because it was easier, because when they said that, it would be like, oh, well, you know who that is amongst all the Jeffs that were there. And, you know, I know it's a terrible name, that immediately just triggers derision in people. Like, they would laugh. I'd be like, "Hey, call me Skippy," and they'd be like, "Ha, ha, ha, what are you, fucking stupid? Why did you say that to me? Why did you even say that to me? Now I'm gonna call you that, you dumb piece of shit." But after a while, it just kind of wore off, because it was like, oh, you know, all my best friends call me that and stuff. And then at one point, somebody made a really good. So one of my friends made a really good point to me, and they were like, "You need to get away from this." And I was like, well, you know, whatever, I don't really care. And they're like, no, you don't ever
You're too old for Skippy now.
Well,
okay, just leave it alone.
That's definitely true. I mean, after 30 was about the time when I was just like, I didn't say that to people anymore or whatever. But it was like, you don't ever want to be in a situation where you're in bed with a girl and she's like, "Oh, Skippy," and yeah, it's like, "Oh yeah, you know, yeah, you're right. I didn't think about that. You're totally right. Yep, that's true. Call me Jeff. That's my name."
So you actually introduced yourself as Skippy to people?
No, well, to people, yes. To women, no. But it was still a good point that started down the parts of my brain that make all of the horrible things happen. So,
God, it's like the moment when you have like a birthday party and you get your mates from your college days up against your mates that you've made recently, who know you as an adult. And then they fucking tell stories about you from back in the day. You're like, oh shit, I completely forgot about that. Why are people talking about that still?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, I just had that recently at a barbecue where I was just like wishing the most dreadful thoughts to my best friend, because he was like telling people the most embarrassing stories of my freshman year.
You gotta own it, Nick. You just gotta get in there and you gotta own it and be like, "Yeah, man, I fucked a goat."
You can't own my shit, okay? My shit is really embarrassing. All right.
Okay. I mean, it's funny because there's a lot of times where people, like I've talked about this at certain points in the past, and eventually you will get. In fact, you already have this because you and I have done a bunch of different shows, right? People feel like they know you from the snippets of what they see on the internet about you, right? I remember there was one time where I was telling a story. I told a story about how when I was like when I said like when I was a kid, right? And this was probably when I was like 18 or maybe 17. I think it might have been like 17, 18, that I went to a Best Buy and I tried to steal something and I got caught. Right, so the loss prevention guys, they caught me. They put me in this little room, scared to death. I told all this stuff. That's not really the story. You kind of go back and find that story. I don't even know where the hell it would be. It's podcast 112, Nick. I can't even tell. There's several thousand videos on my YouTube channel. I can't tell people where they can find this one thing.
Was this on Rage Select or on Spill.com?
I think it was on Rage Select. Select. And so I told this story. I told the story about getting caught, how I thought I was going to go to jail, and et cetera, et cetera. And somebody came in. The whole point of this is somebody came into the comments and they were just like, "I'm so disappointed at you. I can't believe that you would do that. I have less respect for you now than I did before." And I think I came back to them and I was like, I
was fucking 17.
Yeah, I was 17. Let's say I'm underestimating it because sometimes I'll do that. Let's say I was 19, right? It couldn't have been much more than 19. I'm 37 now. Like, I'm a whole other person older than I was when that story happened. And it's funny. Last week we were at the bar. And I had to show the person at the door my ID to get in, and I was like, I just thought about it for a second. I was like,
wait, when? What?
Well, you
had to show your ID to get, when was this?
It was last weekend. We had one of our
what the fuck, man? Like,
it depends on the bar, but in Austin, you've got to be really see. The thing is that not to go off on too much of a tangent, but I know how that sounds, right? Especially when
that sounds fucking ridiculous. Right. That I haven't been ID'd for like 3 years.
But see, here's the thing: is I had a friend when I was a kid or when I was younger who worked at a convenience store, and the thing is that what happens in a lot of times in America, and I don't know how much they do this anymore. They used to do this a lot during the 90s, right? But what they would do is, if you as a kid got caught like buying booze or like cigarettes underage, what the cops, they didn't have any real interest in prosecuting you, putting you through the whole system for this. What they would do is they would basically turn you to be an informant, or not an informant, but you would run a sting. Is what would happen is that you would go into, they would put cops in a car, they would drive you to different convenience stores. You'd be like 17, right? You're supposed to be 18 to buy cigarettes. They would send you into convenience stores to buy cigarettes, and you basically just be like, go in. If they ask you for your ID, say you don't have it on you, and then if you could buy cigarettes, buy them and then come back out. And I had a friend who got caught in one of those stings, $2,000 fine, immediately fired. And so I'm like, all right, I know that I look like I've got dad bod and a shaved head and a big beard. I am obviously not a 17-year-old trying to get into your bar, but I can kind of understand people who are just like, fuck it, I'm just going to card everybody just for whatever. But last week I was at the bar and I got carded, and I thought about it for a second. I looked at my driver's license, and we don't have to take regular driver's license photos here in the U.S., so my driver's license photo is like 7 years old. And I've got a full head of hair, which now I have a fully shaved head. I have no beard, which now I have full beard. And that night I was wearing my contact lenses. I'm wearing glasses in my photo ID, not wearing glasses in the real world. I handed it to the door lady, and then I thought about it, and then I was like, this picture looks nothing like me. And she's like, no, just fucking whatever, go in there. So I think it's pretty amazing how different. I mean, if you just look at pictures of me from like back when I was in school, when I had hair and no beard and glasses, and then you look at me now, and it's like, I'm on the run. I'm on the run from the cops, Nick. They'll never find me, except for the podcast where I say to them, you'll never find me, and then they go, oh, there he is.
You want to know what's really depressing? When you and I just first met, I was 23. Mm-hmm. How weird is that?
Not weird. I've gotten to the point now where it's like, especially getting past 30, you could just kind of make the assumption that you're just like, everybody's younger than I am, and it's fine.
Right.
But before we jump into the news, spent all this time talking about me, and I've been rambling on because it's the afternoon, and I've had my coffee, and I've sleep and everything. What have you been up to recently, besides the history buffs? You been up to anything interesting?
No, man. My whole life has just been dedicated to doing history buffs. I mean, what takes the biggest amount of my time is just researching, I've got to say, because I don't want to be that idiot that gets something wrong. And even though like like I'm uploading videos. I'm gonna be uploading videos every 2 weeks. I'm already like way ahead, and I've got like a stockpile of videos just waiting to be uploaded.
Oh, don't say that! Don't say that! They will demand them from you.
It gives me enough time to get through YouTube's bullshit content ID system and enough time to sort of research. But yeah, I guess I'm still sort of learning. I mean, at the moment, you're being Mr. Miyagi, and I'm being that fucking New Jersey karate kid, and I'm like going to you every like week or so, just saying, "How do you do this, Jeff?" Like, I've got no idea. By the way, your fans are really nice to me.
What Nick means by that is that I just make him wax my online cars all the time. I'm just like, all right, now paint my online fence, bitch. Like, Mr. Miyagi didn't actually know karate. He was just making Daniel do all his chores so he didn't have to. Also, that motherfucker lives in like a shack, and he had like, I mean, it must have been like $500,000 worth of classic cars sitting in a parking lot in front of his shack. Like, dude, like come on, man. Sell those cars and go buy yourself a huge-ass house. Stop being the pool guy at a shitty apartment full of New Jersey immigrants. Anyway, so you've got all the videos. They're all lined up, and you're just wrestling with YouTube's content ID system right now.
Yeah. I mean, like, I made a promise to myself to upload every other Saturday. So this Saturday, I'm uploading the 3rd episode.
Okay.
And so far, I've just been really impressed with the support I've had recently. I mean, like, I just started, and already people are saying, like, this video is really great. I think one comment said, "I never was that much interested in history. I wish you were my history teacher," which kind of made me go, "Oh my god, that's the nicest thing I've ever heard." And yeah, I hope to be entertaining people. So
I feel like we need to have like a video that's just like a two screens, and it's like, what happens when Nick posts a video, and you're like, hit the submit button, and then you're like, aw, and then it's like, what happens when?
It literally is.
What happens when Jeff?
I've been looking for that one person to say, "Fuck you, Nick, your videos suck," or whatever. I haven't found it yet. I'm sure that like after this podcast there will be people saying that.
Yeah.
But for the moment, like, everyone's been like super nice. So if any of you guys listening, thank you so much for all your support, and I promise that these videos I'm uploading are just going to get better and better.
Aww.
There you go.
Well, that's great. And for people who haven't seen it yet, what's the best way for them to get to you? Is Facebook right now?
Yeah, if you Facebook History Buffs London on Facebook, you'll find it. However, I'm actually quite chuffed about this. If you go on YouTube and you just type in History Buffs, I'm the fucking number one. I'm the first thing that pops up on the screen. Woo!
Yeah. Look at that. Did you?
I'm quite chuffed about that.
Yeah. Look at that. Last time there was this guy named Ken Stringfellow who has a song, I think, called History Buffs. That last time I checked was a little bit like a bunch of live shows of him doing that were a little bit higher. But yeah, just type that shit in. You're number one. So go to YouTube, type in History Buffs, subscribe to Nick's channel, and tell him what you think his new nickname should be. That's what you should do.
People are just gonna stick with Nicky Poo. I swear to God. I'm gonna be like I'm gonna be 38, and people are still gonna be calling me that.
Well, you know what? That's I tell you what. That's better than Nicky Who. Oh, that was bad. That was some Brian Salisbury level shit right
terrible.
there. Yeah, that was awful.
Move on.
Yeah, let's talk about some news now, because that was just, I can't follow up a stinker like that. All right, so we have like I said, it's a weird week for news, Nick. There's a lot of strange, kind of off the wall stuff. Like none of this.
You know what? At least you have news. Like on my show, what the fuck kind of news can I talk about? Something really boring happened to something really ugly like 300 years ago.
You know what you could do is you could take, like, if you wanted to do a oh god, this is probably more research than it's worth, but I was going to say, if you want to make it in theme with your history, it's like you could do a podcast where maybe every week you do like the news from the time that that's where your current video is set. So like, what was happening in the world when the Zulu conflict around that same period of time? But no, that would probably be terrible. I don't know.
That's a stupid idea, but I'm actually writing this down right
now. Yeah, that's right. Skippy strikes again. Take that, bitch. No, I mean, like, that's one of the things that I think I think is actually missing from a lot of history is, and it's one of the things that hardcore history, which, by the way, somebody was asking last week in one of the videos, or it might have been one of the shows about, I was talking about a history podcast. It's called Hardcore History with Dan Carlin. It's a great history podcast.
I've actually been listening to that since you recommended it to me.
Dude's fantastic, and one of the things I think is so great about him is that he'll take an event in history and then provide context around that event so that it's not just like you can see why that event happened, as opposed to just like, well, then in 1862, so-and-so invented butter for the first time. Or I don't know. Butter's been around for a long time, but whatever. Instead of just memorizing the dates, you get a real feeling of the time and the place in which that happened. Like, he has one about the Spanish-American War that was one of the first ones, and he spends probably the first half of the episode just kind of like setting up what was happening in the world and what America was at the time and how Americans thought at the time. That gives you a context as to why they would go to war, instead of just like, then there was a war, boom. And that's why I like it, because it makes it easier to remember, right? It makes linkages in your memory and in your brain that are easier to remember than just saying like, and then boom, that happened. And then
that's what people who teach history or talk about history need to do, is just simplify it. And it is really simple. All it is just basically a story with fantastic characters. Mm-hmm. But like, if you fucking get bogged down by the dates behind it, then you lose the attention of the listener.
Yep. Absolutely. In fact, that's one of the things I love about hardcore history, is that there's so much characterization to the individual people that he's talking about that you really kind of get a sense of them like they're a character in a story, which I think, I mean, I don't know if this says something about us, but it's so much easier for me to remember a person or have a sense of a person, who, even an important historical figure, if I have some kind of sense of who they were as a character, because then they fit into stories which are easier to remember, which is why we blah 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 blah. But yeah, go listen to Hardcore History, and then if you have a kind of weird liberal bent, you can listen to his Common Sense podcast, a libertarian bent, I should say. He's not like full on like nutso libertarian. I don't get into politics very much in the show, but he's got another podcast called Common Sense, where he talks about political stuff, and it's kind of interesting. I mean, I don't agree with everything that he says, but whatever. Anyway,
yeah, I mean, like he's good, but check out History Buffs first. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's right. That's what you need to do, Nick. Oh my God, that's what you need to do. Is you need to put up a few more videos, right? And then email Dan Carlin and be like, hey, I'm a young guy starting out a history thing. Maybe you'd like to either join me, or we could be on a podcast, or I come on your podcast, or something, blah, blah, blah. I mean, the worst thing that's going to happen is that he's just not going to respond. Or no, the worst thing that's going to happen is that he would come to your house and stab you, but that's very low down on the list.
No. The worst thing he could do is to watch my stuff and then fucking make another video saying, Nick got this wrong, get this wrong, this wrong, this wrong. And that would just like ruin any credibility I have with my channel so far.
Okay. That is probably the worst thing that could happen. I still think that getting stabbed in the dick would probably be worse, but you're British. I don't know where the dick stabbing fits in culturally, so But anyway, let's move on to the video game news and stop talking about...
Yeah, we're talking about video games, not history.
Yeah, not dick stabbing. So first up, and I don't know what your overall feelings / history is about the Dragon Quest franchise. Do you know Dragon Quest? I mean, I would...
No. Can you remind me of that? I'm just going to Google that right now.
Yeah, so probably, like, if you had an NES... back in the old days, the NES had a game called Dragon Quest, and it was like one of the original RPGs. Like, walk around, and then you will fight these little slimes, and there's a dragon, and you have some magic.
Yeah.
And
no, I had a Sega Mega Drive at the time, so I never played it.
Okay, big game. I think that was like one of those things. If I remember correctly, the first Dragon Quest. If you had a subscription to Nintendo Power, if you renewed your subscription to Nintendo Power, which I had and did both of those things, they would send you a free copy of it. But at the time, I didn't quite understand the way that RPGs happen, so I got stuck on it, and I only beat it now it's like 10 years ago. I got an emulator and beat it. But they just announced Dragon Quest XI this week, and the last Dragon Quest was Dragon Quest X, and it was on the Wii, the Wii U, the DS... And then I think there was actually in Japan like a PC version. I think they're actually making a PS4 port of it. But Dragon Quest traditionally has been a very kind of traditional RPG. I don't really know that much about it. So if I get stuff wrong, you guys, totally fucking. You go down and ruin my credibility in the comments, which I don't have any left, Nick. It's just me talking.
That's opening up a whole can of worms.
No,
right?
It doesn't matter. They're going to do it anyway. It doesn't matter whether I invite them to or not. But here's the thing: is that the Dragon Quest, as I can understand it, I didn't look all the way back through all of them. But here's the deal: Dragon Quest started out as a game that was, I think, on the NES/Famicom, and then it flipped over. Let's see. Let me just run through these, and I can tell you when it flipped over. At a certain point, let's see. Dragon Quest III was Famicom. Dragon Quest IV was Famicom NES. Okay, so around Dragon Quest V, it switched over to the Nintendo DS, PlayStation 2. Oh, it also says Super Nintendo. Okay, there's a whole. Oh yeah, they remade it for the DS, but let's look. It started on the Super Famicom and then PlayStation 2, and then let's see, Dragon Quest VI. Super Nintendo, and then also remade on the DS, Android, iOS, and then 7 was on the PlayStation, and then the 3DS, and then from there it was on the PlayStation until I think 9, where it went back to Nintendo, and then 10 was like an MMO. Okay, I don't know why I'm telling you all this, here's why I'm telling you all this. Dragon Quest is a huge, huge game in Japan. As I understand it, I remember reading a story from when Dragon Quest X was about to come out, where they were like, they shut down work and let kids stay home from school when Dragon Quest came out because it was so big that they knew people were just going to call in sick and not come to school anyway.
Japan is awesome.
Yeah.
Like, why did they do that over here when, like, The Witcher 3 came out?
Yeah. No, I don't know. Well, they would probably just do it for, like, Madden and Call of Duty, right? Because those are the two biggest franchises that come out here. But anyway, they announced Dragon Quest 11, and there's some interesting things going on here because it's going to be coming out on the PlayStation 4 and the Nintendo 3DS, and then they're saying that it's probably going to be coming out on the next Nintendo console, the Nintendo NX. But what's really interesting about it is that they've got some video of it up online, and when you look at the PlayStation 4 version, it's like a 3D world. It's on the Unreal Engine 4, and it's you running around in this giant world. There's like, this kind of realistic trees and sky and not the monsters and stuff. On the 3DS, though, it's doing something interesting where it's got a kind of a stylized 3D version that's on the upper screen, on the 3D screen, but then on the bottom screen, it all looks like a 16-bit game, but it's the same game. So you're like seeing the same scene, but from like an old school and a new school perspective. And I think that looks freaking cool.
Very arty-farty, I'd say.
Yeah, well, I think that it's a nice way to use those two screens, and it's a nice throwback. There was some video online that you can watch of it where it's like you can see a person on the top, like running around in a town, and it's like on the top screen, it's all 3D, and they're running through this town, and you can see all the buildings and stuff. And on the bottom screen, it's like their little top-down, old-school RPG character is walking around in an old-school RPG town, and it's one-to-one to what's going up on the top of the screen. You can also apparently change the battle mode so that it looks like it's all old school on the 3DS. But I don't know. This looks interesting. I've been out of Dragon Quest for a long time. It's never been a franchise that I've been like super, super into, and obviously not one that you are super, super into either, Nick, right?
No, actually, I had no idea this game even existed. I mean, like, when was the first one?
Oh, boy. The first one was 1986. Which
okay, yeah. Oh, I see that why.
Mm-hmm.
That was a year before I was born. So
shut up, Nick. Shut up.
I just want to remind you how old you are, Jeff.
Quit being young, Nick. God damn it.
Just like, you're no longer relevant in games today. Okay, so just stop it. Just pass the torch.
That's right. Actually, it's funny because that's 86, and I'm pretty sure that 86 was maybe the year that the NES came out in the U.S. 85 actually was the year that it came out in the U.S. So that was a year after it came out. But see, I didn't get an NES until 88, and I probably didn't get Dragon Quest until maybe late 88, 89 or whatever. But or it was called Dragon Warrior when it was on the original NES originally.
Okay.
But anyway, this is a pretty big announcement, and the fact that they're putting it on the PlayStation 4 means that the Dragon Quest series is kind of coming back to the PlayStation after a little bit of a hiatus. And I think that's really interesting. I'd actually be really interested to know what degree of people in our comments or in who are viewers of Rage Select have any interest in Dragon Quest, because I just can't ever tell how many people on this website are into like JRPG. Do you play JRPGs at all, Nick? Do you play them?
No, not at all. I hate that fucking system where you have to hit a guy and then wait for your turn. Like he hits you and then hit him back. I just despise it. And I'm sure that things have improved now that we've gone away from that, but it just left a, kind of a mark on me. The only way I was able to go back to RPGs was like with the Witcher and the BioWare games.
Mm-hmm. Well, the only reason that I ask is because this is a little bit of a spoiler for people for what's going to happen tomorrow, but Brian Salisbury and I recorded a couple of dojo videos this week for a JRPG that just came out, right? And Nick and I have recorded a bunch of dojos for Japanese role-playing games. And it was funny because about halfway through our dojo, Brian Salisbury started complaining. And he was almost saying word for word the exact same things that Grant would say when him and I played a JRPG. And I was like, did you talk to Grant? Did you guys coordinate to bombard me with the same complaints? And he's like, no, just what the fuck? And I'm like, wow, okay. So I need to find myself, Nick, a JRPG correspondent. Somebody who isn't offended by turn-based combat or reading things on the screen. Anyway, speaking of reading things on a screen, I read this article. How do you like that? As
good
a
segue.
Good
segue.
Yeah. So last week, okay. So here, this is I'm going to give you the rundown on this, and then it's going to probably run into something else. Are you at all a fan of Street Fighter, Nick?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So you probably know that Street Fighter V is going to be a PS4 and PC exclusive. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So last week, I don't know if you know this, but if you pre-ordered Street Fighter V on the PlayStation Network, you got access to the Street Fighter V beta. So they were having a beta.
What? Wait. If you order Street Fighter V, then you'd get access to the beta.
Mm-hmm. If you pre-ordered Street Fighter V, so if you went onto the PlayStation Network, you pre-ordered the digital version of Street Fighter V, you would get access to the Street Fighter V beta. Well, I did this last week. Even out, you know me, and I don't pre-order shit, right? But for this, it was like, this is something that I wanted to have on the Super Awesome Video Game Show because we a lot of times look at betas and early access and things like that. So John and I got together and we loaded it up, and it was like, nope, servers are offline. So we're like, all right, well, let's try it again tomorrow. And we loaded it up, and it was like, oh no, they're way offline today. And what happened basically was that Capcom turned their servers on, and they were just immediately pounded into submission. Like just immediately, they like went up, and then it was just like overloaded, and they went down. So then they closed it down. They added more servers. They brought it back up, and they brought it up, totally overloaded, and went back down again. And
were you at Grant's house, or was he at your house?
John was the one who was recording.
Was it John?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I feel sorry for John. Are you telling me that every single day he had to drive off back home?
No.
And he was like, sorry, man, the servers are down.
Nope. No. We lumped it in with a few other recordings, so it wasn't like that. It wasn't like, hey, come here. I'm not even going to try turning it on and trying it out until you get over here, John. No, I may be an asshole, but I'm not that kind of an asshole. So, yeah, we tried it, and it never came up. We said, oh, we'll do it next week. So at first there was a story where they were like, oh, we're extending the beta by a few days as we get the servers under control. Well, at this point, they canceled it, right? They were just like, nope, it's not working. No, not at all. No. So they're supposed to have 3 betas that people who pre-ordered the game can get into before Street Fighter V comes out, and they've said that, like, this whole debacle will not count towards that. Now, the reason that I bring this up is that I kind of want to get your opinion about this, because I was online when we were getting ready to record, and I went to the Capcom website. I went to their forums, and people were pissed. I mean, just like you robbed me of $60, Capcom, and I'll never buy another game that you put out ever again, and fuck your parents. I hope they get set on fire with AIDS fire.
Gamers are like the most vocal fans ever. Like, they're like worse than comic book fans or movie fans. Like that, there's some sort of like secret thing amongst all gamers that they have to be like pissed when something comes out. And to be honest, I don't blame them. Like $60 for a game, that's quite a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. Especially for a game that's not even out yet. So I guess this is the question that I'm kind of posing out there that I've thought about, is that if a company is like, you could make a case, right, that by giving the beta to people who pre-ordered the game, you're essentially asking people to buy that beta, or at least buy into access to that beta, right? So if people do that and you say you're going to have a beta, should you have your feet held to the fire? And should you, apologize or offer some kind of like refund?
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's the major selling point behind it. If it was just like one of the dozens of other little add-ons, then maybe not so much. If that was the one thing that didn't work but everything else did. But fuck yeah, if that was like, that's the major selling point. So I think they have an absolute right to be pissed off.
But the selling point of Street Fighter V is when Street Fighter V comes out, you'll have Street Fighter V, right? That's why you pre-order a game. So if you pre-order the game and you say that pre-ordering the game...
No, you don't. No. If it's a Street Fighter V on its own, you just buy Street Fighter V.
Right.
If you pre-order the fucking game, then there's got to be something else with it, something to sweeten the deal. And if that's the major... If they promise one thing and it doesn't work, then yes, people absolutely have a right to be pissed off.
I don't know. See, that's what I've been wrestling with, because the thing is that betas, specifically this, which was an online beta, it was to test out their netcode because it was only online. Like, there's no single-player version, which is why you couldn't play it, right? Is the servers were overloaded. It wasn't like you could just be like, oh, all right, well, I'll just play with John here offline in the studio, right? Betas specifically are to work out things like server overload problems. A beta is not a full release. A beta has bugs. A beta is unfinished code. So the thing is that even if you say you get access to the beta, I mean, like, it would probably be a better word. It would probably be more accurate to say prototype, or I don't know, something like that, right? Because you're getting access to a beta that was intended to test their servers and their server load and netcode and stuff. So if what happens when that beta goes live is that their servers get overloaded, that's going to be telling them information they need to take into account before they do the next beta or before they launch the game.
I disagree. I think a beta is supposed to give you a taste of the game. Like, it's near its completed version. But, like, what you're describing sounds more like the alpha. Like, when you're just fucking starting out. You know what I mean? Like...
Well,
so you've got alpha, beta. What's the final version? The finished product, right?
Right. Well, you technically, I think they would say you go feature complete, right? And then at that point, then you do your optimization and bug fixes, and then you go ahead and go to release. Yeah, but I mean,
so what sounds like they released was the alpha version, not the beta version.
I don't know. I honestly feel. See, here's the thing: is that when I first told you this story, you said gamers are vocal and loud and shouty people about this kind of stuff, and I kind of,
but for good reason though.
But I kind of hewed to, like, look, if this was if this was the release of Street Fighter V, if Street Fighter V was out last week and this problem occurred and they shut the servers down, I think people have more than enough ammo to scream and yell and demand their money back and be like, Capcom, you're the worst of all time. I mean, Capcom may be the worst, but that's a whole different argument, right? But to say Capcom's the worst, but it's not a release. It's a beta. It's a test. It's a thing to suss out their servers. It's not. They're not adding stuff to this. It's like the Destiny beta, right? Is that if there had been a server problem with the Destiny beta and it caused the servers to go down, which I don't know, I can't remember, but there might have very well have been. Like, that's something that you want to happen during a beta so that it doesn't happen during a full release. And getting to a point where you have to launch a beta in a stable enough condition that it might as well be a demo or a full product or a chunk of a full product. I just almost see that as like, I don't know. You're tying money to it, and that's such a problem. I don't know.
The moment they tie money to it, because these games are getting really expensive. $60. I mean, like, in the UK, that's about like 45 quid, which means that I can only buy like one game a month or something like that. So that's why I'm always very picky with what I buy. So if I buy something that I'm a fan of and that fucking thing doesn't work, then I absolutely can be furious because that's a big chunk out of my paycheck.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally understand both ways. I do. I mean, I understand that the way that it's put across is you paid money for access to that beta. If it doesn't work, you feel like you waste your money. On the other hand, I still think that a beta should be a beta, but I don't know. I would ask people.
What about this? Like, if you were to a pre-screening of the new Avengers movie, and the fucking projector breaks, like, 30% through the film, you're gonna be pissed off. Yeah. So why is it not the same thing when it comes to games?
But that's not the same thing. That's not the
It
same.
is the same thing,
That's not the
though.
same thing that's happening here. What this would be like if somebody was going to show you a work print version of the new Avengers movie 4 months before it came out.
Okay.
And they didn't
So
have
what
all
about,
the they didn't have all the special effects finished, right? That was just cut together with the footage that they currently have, and then the projection screening, like the projector breaks halfway through the screening of that. You go, and because the thing is that because this beta failed, it doesn't mean that you're not going to still own the game when it comes out. It doesn't mean that there's not going to be 3 other betas that you're going to be able to have access to at some point or another.
Well, so what was the point of pre-ordering in the first place?
To get access to the beta, I guess. I don't know. I don't understand
That's fucking bullshit if it doesn't even work.
Right, right,
You
but-
could have just bought it on the day of release.
I guess-
It's not like they're going to run out of copies.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
here's the thing. I guess this is what I'm saying, is that I feel that there is a fundamental difference in the quality that you should the quality of experience that you should expect from a beta and a game release. That a beta is allowed to have bugs, problems, and not work properly because it is a beta. People forget that word is generally followed by the word test. Beta test, not beta release, not here's a whole video game.
So bugs. I can accept bugs.
Right.
I don't accept the fact that it doesn't work at all.
That's bugs, man.
abysmal.
That's server.
That's a pretty abysmal thing.
But but here's the problem. Here's the difference. You pre-ordered Street Fighter V to get into the beta that was going on this weekend. The beta didn't work because the servers got overloaded, so they're shutting it down. They're retooling the servers. There's still going to be 3 more betas. This isn't your last chance before the game comes out. There's still going to be 3 more betas, 3 more chances that you still get access to because you pre-ordered the video game. And to be like, I deserve a fully functional video game from beta access, that's the place where it breaks down for me because betas are betas. They're not feature complete.
No, not a fully functional game, Jeff. I'm talking about like a functional game. No, I mean, like, if there was like a one move that made you go like all retarded and spaz out, then we're like, okay, fine, that's a bug. That's a beta bug. But just the fact that to play the game at all,
Yeah.
and like it's one of the major reasons for buying the game in the first place. There's no excuse for that.
Here's the thing. Here's where I fall at the end of the day. I totally understand being upset. I don't think that level of upset should be that Capcom is the worst company of all time and I demand a refund and blah, 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 blah. Because things like this shit happen, especially in a game that isn't even done yet, and I feel like people should cut up a little bit of slack. But that's just me. But enough of this screaming. I have great news. I have great news for you, Nick, that is not about Street Fighter V.
Okay, all right, hit me.
Last week in an interview with IGN, Guillermo del Toro expressed enthusiasm with continuing to work with Kojima on something that is not Silent Hills. The quote he says is, "We are still friends and working into doing something together, but that's not going to be Silent Hills." So while it's not going to be Silent Hills, it may be another horror game. It may be another something. I don't know. I don't have any other further details than just what I've read right there. But for those people who really liked PT and the idea of Silent Hills, I think that Guillermo del Toro and Hideo Kojima working together to make something, I'll play it whatever it is. I don't give a fuck. Whatever it is, I'll...
That's the vaguest good news I've ever heard.
Yeah? What?
She's like, they're making a project. I have no idea what it's going to be about, but I'm sure it's going to be pretty good.
Yeah. Well, that's all that I got.
No, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm looking for... it's a slow news week. Right. No, that does sound cool. I mean, like, I'm a huge fan of Guillermo del Toro, like all of his movies, and he's definitely got like a certain style. So it was definitely a shame with the Silent Hill thing, but I don't know, if he's so committed to doing like a game, then I'm sure it's going to be like excellent.
I think the idea of Guillermo del Toro's attention to detail and creativity with Hideo Kojima's attention to detail and creativity, I think it sounds great because
I'm not sure how those two guys would mesh, though.
I don't know.
Because I understood how Guillermo del Toro and Peter Jackson would mesh when they were doing the Hobbit movies. Mm-hmm. They're really different from each other.
Yeah, I think that sometimes though that could totally work. I don't know. I honestly just think that this is really important news for people who were incredibly bummed out by the. Actually, you know what? I think this could be even better than Silent Hills because Silent Hills still seemed like Silent Hill, the franchise, the name comes with a lot of baggage, right? Whereas if you just were like, hey, Hideo Kojima, Guillermo del Toro, go make whatever horror video game you want to, then you don't have to worry about Sirens and Pyramid Head and Fog and Changing Worlds and all the other horseshit. You can just go do whatever in the fuck you want to. And I like that because, honestly, I want Kojima to go make something that's not a Metal Gear game. I really do. Like,
whoa, that's a big deal for you to say that.
No, I've been saying it for a long time.
Because you're a huge Metal Gear fan as much as I am. Actually, more than I am.
No, I'm totally a huge Metal Gear fan. But I've said this multiple times over the years. I think Metal Gear Solid 4 wrapped it up. I think Peace Walker wrapped it up even more. And I feel like Kojima's been trapped making these games for a while now. And I want him to be able to go do his own thing. And so that's one of the reasons that I'm kind of glad that he's out from Capcom and that they can't keep throwing money at him. Because I want him to go put his full effort into making something crazy and new. Because he's been making the same, not the same game, but he's been making the same title for God knows how long, right? And I want him to go make more crazy shit. I want more Zone of Enders or Buktai or whatever, right? So I think that the idea of letting him take his desire to make video games and putting them into something that is not directly Metal Gear is great because, in all honesty, I kind of considered the Metal Gear franchise to be Solid Snake's story, and it's done. Like, we kind of finished with Solid Snake's story, and it is Solid Snake's story, and he keeps jacking in more boss stuff on the other side of it, and I think that it starts to get a little weird. It starts to get a little unwieldy. Like the place that Peace Walker ended is totally a great place for Metal Gear 1 to start. And I don't know. I just want the guy to go make his own stuff. Like he's provided me with enough awesome Metal Gear games that I'd like him to just go be able to do whatever he wants to.
Oh, fair enough.
Let's see. Next up, so I don't know. You're traditionally, Nick, you don't really have a lot to do with Nintendo.
No.
But there's a new Zelda game.
It seems like every time we do these podcasts, it's like just fucking nothing but Nintendo week. I've got nothing to say.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is more of an announcement more than anything else, is that Legend of Zelda has been delayed out of 2015 to 2016. We already knew that, right? There was just recently a quarterly financial update where they announced a few things like the Shin Megami Tensei Cross Fire Emblem and another game called Project Guard got 2016 release dates. Legend of Zelda, though, is still listed as TBD, and I really, really hope that they don't drag that game out further because the Wii U has some good shit going for it right now. People are liking Splatoon. There's a bunch of stuff going on. I really think it would be in their best interest to get that Zelda game out sooner rather than later. I mean, we got Star Fox coming, and there's some other interesting stuff. I think there's reasons to own a Wii U. I definitely don't use it as much as my other consoles, but I really hope that they don't drag their heels on Zelda because that's really a system pusher, and I don't know. It's just kind of a little dismaying to hear this because I think that Zelda is a big ass thing, right? And that Nintendo needs things to move their consoles. And that it would be good for them to get that shit out. Anyway.
Yeah.
On a little bit more general note, last week, China, the whole country, is lifting the ban that they've had for about 15 years on selling consoles in the country.
And what?
Selling video game consoles.
Really? That they didn't sell consoles in China?
Nope. This is I don't really dig down deep into it, but basically this is an article on Game Informer that says approximately 15 years ago, China banned the sale of video game consoles, citing a negative effect on children who played video games. Yeah. So they've been mostly PC until then. I think, this is one of those things that's kind of like I put Dragon Quest, a few other things before it. This could honestly be a huge, huge thing. This could be something that changes like just the direction of game development over the course of the next 5 to 10 years, because China's a big place with a lot of motherfuckers in it.
Sorry to ask you, when did they ban selling consoles? What was the year?
15 years ago, it says here. So 2000? Year 2000?
Holy shit, since 2000 there hasn't been a single PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 4 or any of the other consoles in China.
I didn't dig into this as much to be able to say that for sure, but that certainly seems to be the kind of what I've heard from time to time. So they have a big PC gaming audience, because you can't.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, ban
you
PCs.
can't censor PC.
Right,
Yeah.
but when you think about like China is a huge market. They're a fucking enormous market. Like, there's all this stuff that I don't really know jack shit about Hollywood movies that have like scenes filmed that are only in the Chinese version, or that have edits for China.
I'm sure they have it on the black market though.
Oh, you could probably, yeah. I mean, if you dig into it, you could probably get one. But my God, if I was Sony, if I was Microsoft, I would go whole goddamn hog into making China an Xbox country, being like, you guys can buy consoles, have all these Xboxes, right? Because
you probably have the added advantage because Chinese people don't like the Japanese very much, so they'll go to the next option, which is only Microsoft. So yeah, China could totally be an Xbox country.
I think that would be a smart move on their part. But see, here's what I wonder is that if we've been living in a world for 15 years that hasn't had to take China into account when making consoles, when making video games, and making stuff like that. If it busts open, if the dam bursting, and you suddenly have a huge country full of people that can suddenly buy a console, I think that there's a lot of things that potentially could change. And I couldn't even tell you what it is, but I know that if you were a video game manufacturer that didn't have to think at all about how your game was going to sell in China, you probably will eventually, if as long as it doesn't just completely peter out, because that's a huge goddamn market. It's a huge market. So
1.3 billion people, yeah.
Yeah, and if you can get people over there buying consoles and buying video games, like, you could definitely see some shifting. So I think it's something to keep an eye on. I'm not smart enough. I'm not industry analyst Michael Pachter enough to be able to try to project into the future and say what that could mean, because I don't know what China would want you to do differently in your video games. I mean, but
just not have China as the bad guys. I'm sure
they are.
That's about it.
They aren't the bad guys. So I was just thinking about that. I was just thinking, like, what video game has China as the bad guys?
They were originally going to do like Homefront, and then they pussied out at the last minute and had the Koreans.
Yeah, moved over to North Korea. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting. But yeah, that's it. So will be interesting to see what happens there. I don't have a speaking of China. I can't say. Speaking of the apocalypse, which is not a good segue at all.
What the fuck? You should say moving right along.
Moving right along. So there was an interview last week on Bonus Round where Jeff Keighley and Adam Sessler were talking with Pete Hines, the who's this guy? The executive editor. No, that's somebody else. This is the Bethesda vice president of PR and marketing, who said Fallout 4 pretty much all the way done at this point, like feature complete, and that over the summer the team is going to be sitting around basically doing bug fixes, optimization, and getting the game ready to ship, but that at this point the entire game is pretty much completed, is feature complete, and just needs polish before it can come out. Which, I gotta say this again, good job keeping that shit under wraps. I mean, it wasn't really, it wasn't super under wraps, but the fact that we only saw footage or video or anything of this for the first time at E3, which was what, a month ago, 2 months ago?
Yeah. I just wish more game companies did that.
Like keep it under control and don't.
Yeah, I can't wait a whole year for a game to come out. Like that's just torture.
I want it.
It's like when they released the fucking trailer for Star Wars, and they'll be like, "Oh, that's coming out like in Christmas of 2015." They released it last year.
Yep.
Like, are you insane? What am I going to do until then? I'm certainly not going to play Battlefront 3 because that's going to suck.
Oh, that's a bold statement. You don't.
Oh, come on, dude. I have no faith in fucking DICE whatsoever.
Why?
Because I have a feeling that they're just pumping shit out just to make a quick buck.
I wonder whether or not Battlefront 3 is the reason that Battlefield Hardline kind of blew. That if they put all their muscle into that, but
I would love to be wrong. But I'm just a bit of a pessimist with that company.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. Well, all I know.
In any case, Fallout 4 is going to be sick. I can't wait for it.
If it's done, I don't care. Put it in my hands right now. Don't even tell me it's done. Quit telling me it's done, Pete Hines, and come over here and put it in my hands because I can play it right this minute. I don't care if it's buggy or I can't connect to the servers or if it's full of shit. I want to play it. I want to play it.
The only bugs that bothered me is if it just crashes all the time.
I don't even mind that. I'll reload it.
Bullshit, man. You had that with New Vegas, and that pissed you off.
No, that was the reason New Vegas pissed me off. I didn't even play New Vegas until well after those problems had been sorted out. But no, I understand what you're saying, though. But what I'm saying is that if Pete Hines came to my house and handed me the version of Fallout 4 that hadn't been fully bug tested and wasn't even it wasn't on store shelves, I would let it crash. I'd be like, yeah, that's cool, man. If I could play Fallout 4 today and not have to wait until it comes out, I'll deal with some crashes. That's fine. I'll power through there. Dude, I will have, if that happens, Nick, I will have the most popular goddamn YouTube channel of all time. Full playthrough of Fallout 4 6 months before it comes out. All right. Well, next up, this is a little bit of a footnote, but do you know what the Ouya is, Nick? Remember the Ouya?
No.
Okay.
What the hell is that?
The Ouya was an Android gaming console that was crowdfunded by Kickstarter, came out, and was basically like a console that you could play like Android phone games on, and people could do development for. John has one, and I've played it. It seems pretty terrible. But they were sniffing around a little while back to see if they could get somebody to buy them because they're apparently almost totally out of money. And they did. Razer bought them, the company that makes like mice and pro keyboards and stuff like that. And they're going to be using that platform to basically as another Android box. But one of the interesting things about their acquisition I thought was really cool was that Ouya had a program where they would give funding to people who were making independent Android games that were going to run on their console. And apparently, Razer is going to make good on about $600,000 worth of funds owed to indie developers as part of their Free the Games initiative, which is cool because I don't really know that much about Razer, and I never really played the Ouya, but yeah, that is good news for indie developers. Say, it's a weird week this week. That's good news for indie developers.
You don't have to justify yourself to me, man.
It's
your show. It's your show.
I'm not
just choose the news you want, mate.
I'm not justifying it directly to you. I'm justifying it. I'm just justifying it in general, Nicholas. All right.
Might as well be like, I'm sorry, guys. Okay, I didn't want to fucking talk about Ouya.
Yeah, at least I'm awake this week. That's all I can really say. I did it well with Kevin, where I was almost dead by the end of it. Anyway, that's the good news for small game development. The bad news for small game development.
The bad news.
Oh, this is our next story. Is the company Jaeger? Did you ever play Spec Ops: The Line?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Wait. The one with Nolan Drake, is that his name? Where they're in the Mumbai, that
Dubai?
desert. Dubai, that's it. Is that the one?
Yeah. The one
that was fucking ace, that game. It was really good.
It was going on crazy stuff. Okay, that was made by the company Jaeger, and they were partnered with Deep Silver. They were developing Dead Rising 2. No, Dead. What's the other one where the fall out the window?
3.
Dead Island 2.
Oh, Dead Island.
And then, like last week or the week before, they announced that they had had problems. They had some creative problems, and they had split. And that Jaeger was going their own ways. Well, Jaeger is now filed for insolvency, which is somewhat like bankruptcy, because apparently losing that project means that they've taken a pretty big financial hit. They're not gone, and they've got the funds to basically continue paying people to finish working on their game called Dreadnought, which is a 5-on-5 like giant capital ship game, like a adversarial game where you have these big capital ships you drive around and shoot at each other. I actually played it a few times at some various shows. It looks pretty cool. But yeah, this is the real shit in the face because
that's tragic, man. I really like Spec Ops. I thought it was a very mature game, compared to the other shit we get.
Absolutely. So I really hope that Dreadnought does well, and guys at Jaeger, I wish you all the best because Spec Ops really was. It wasn't always the most fun game, but it definitely had something to say, and it definitely had some emotional hooks to it that were harder than a lot of other games that I played, especially for a war game. Like, there's a part in that game, and if you haven't played Spec Ops: The Line, you should probably just pause this podcast and go play Spec Ops: The Line. I mean, it probably costs you $10, no matter where you get it. But there's a part where you, a part of that game where you end up doing a kind of like a. Okay, you have a mortar, and you're shooting this mortar at some people, and then there's the aftermath of that particular part where I was honestly just like, holy shit, what the fuck did I just do here? Like, that game is pretty incredible, and I've seen Extra Credits has a few pretty good videos about it, but the gameplay itself was not always very fun. But it's a very interesting game.
It was just like just general cover-based shooter, third-person shooter, but it's amazing like what you can do with the characters, and the story was very similar to Heart of Darkness,
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like it was really interesting in comparison to all the other war shooters out there, which is just like stop the bad guy, whereas that game was about becoming the bad guy.
Yep. So yeah, good luck, Jaeger. Hope you guys get through it. And I'm looking forward to trying out Dreadnought when it comes out. Have you seen any video for that, Nick?
No, unfortunately, I haven't seen anything. Unfortunately, I don't play as many games as I used to, especially when I was working with you guys because I was playing games all the time. But no, I keep up to date with just the stuff that I'm really fanatic about. Like anything that is Witcher related, just out there, or Batman. I've been playing lots of the Arkham Knight recently and just been loving that.
Okay. Well, hey, I forgot that you're the biggest. You got the biggest witchy witcher that ever witched a witch. I got good news for you.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
CD Projekt Red is awesome, right? And they keep adding shit to their games. Yep. So I don't know if you've read this, but they're adding a New Game Plus feature to The Witcher 3. I'm not entirely sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing because it seems like by the time you get to the end of The Witcher 3.
Wait. Is it going to be a free download?
Yeah, totally free.
When?
Let's see. TBD, it looks like. I don't know specifically at this point. New Game Plus DLC doesn't have a release date yet. But basically, you can once you beat the game, you can do New Game Plus. Enemies are going to be stronger. You're going to carry over player experience if you're below level 30. And you'll be okay. It says if you're below level 30 when finishing the vanilla game, you will get bumped to level 30 for the start of New Game Plus. Items not including quest items, books and letters, Gwent cards, usable items, and trophies. And then you'll get to carry over money and alchemy recipes. You can select a different difficulty level. You go to New Game Plus. You obtain the Deathmatch achievement when playing New Game Plus mode. And the whole thing with you also get a free clearing potion that lets you reset all of your skills and try out a different build. So look at that. CD Projekt Red yet adding more value to your video game. I mean, goddamn.
They are the most generous gaming company I've ever heard of.
Yeah.
Just when I got the first, when I got day one release of The Witcher 3, like you've got the manual on there, you got like a free soundtrack with it, and all it's just basically saying is like, thank you so much for doing all this. And every single DLC I've gotten after that has been for free.
Yeah.
I don't know that with any other gaming company out there.
Yeah, they I think they announced that beforehand that they were going to have several free DLCs that were coming out, which is awesome. I mean, actually, it's funny because I didn't anticipate this, but last night I loaded up The Witcher 3 and just was like, I just getting used to all the buttons again. I was like, what does all this do again? Oh yeah, okay, and that's how you do. Okay, all right, cool. Yeah, I got all this. And then I was like, all right, I need to go to bed. I got to get up tomorrow to do the podcast with Nick.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, hell, I tell you what, if you guys didn't need more of a reason to buy The Witcher 3, there's one. And I know that I've talked before about how it's just very overwhelming for me because of the amount of time that is it kind of wants from you. But that is a total benefit to most human beings. Jeff's the only person just like, man, there's too much video game. I got too much video game for my $60. Quit putting this delicious steak on my plate. I'm full already. Man. So that's...
You're not a Game of Thrones fan, are you?
No, I like Game of Thrones. What do you mean?
Then what the fuck is your problem?
Oh.
Like, Look, I'm so addicted with the game that I'm replaying The Witcher 2 just to catch up and all the past stuff, just to play Witcher 3 again. That's how much I love that game.
The problem comes in that I just, like, my attention span has shortened over time. And I know that that's, it's something I have to struggle with a little bit more these days, is that video games...
Says the guy who loves Metal Gear Solid games.
But
are you serious?
Hey, man, you can play Metal Gear Solid from start to finish. You can play almost any one of those except for Peace Walker in, 10 hours at most, right?
Yeah, dude, I love those games, but even I have to admit their fucking cutscenes last for like 20 minutes at a time.
Sure. But what I'm saying is that The Witcher just has so much to do in it, and every week we're covering like 3 or 4 new games on this website, right? So, like, it's the case of constantly having your focus drawn away by new shit that's coming out. It just makes it hard to stick with a game that has, because the thing is that it's not like when The Witcher 3 comes out that I can say, all right, fuck off everybody, I'm going to sit down and just burn The Witcher to the ground, right? Is that I have to put time aside to play it in increments, and then it's constantly being interrupted by, well, now I got to go play this game, now I got to go play this game, I got to go play this game, I got to go play this game. So it just makes it harder with a game like Witcher when you have to keep leaving and then coming back and then leaving and then coming back and leaving and coming back to stay with the game, which is just, it's a luxury I don't have because I've got to cover so many things on the website.
It sucks with critics, basically, is what you're saying.
No, hey, you know what? If I was to work for like a company like IGN or something like that, it would be the sort of thing where they would hand me a review copy of The Witcher 3 2 weeks before it comes out, and that would be what I had to do, was sit down and play it all the way to the end. I wouldn't have any problem with that either. It's the fact that, I don't like to say this as an excuse, but in this case it kind of is an excuse. We put up 9 30-minute, or we have to go through at least 7 10 30-minute videos, 1 3-hour live show, and a 2-hour podcast every single week, right? That takes time to do, and that time...
Dude, you don't have to justify yourself to me, man. I'm just fucking with you. Like, who am I? I'm just starting out with my pussy little channel,
No,
and I'm giving you a fucking hard time.
But see, here's the thing, is that I feel bad about The Witcher, because I was super excited about it coming out, and then when it came out, I just kept getting sidetracked to the point where I haven't even finished it yet. But it's like last week I played all the way through the God of War 3 HD remaster because I knew I could beat the game in like 10 hours. I could just sit down, plow through it, pop some heads off with Kratos, boom, done. Whereas Witcher, they're just like, well, if you do everything, it's like 300 hours long. And I'm like, I don't have 300 hours. I don't have that much time.
Have you actually released a review of it yet?
Oh, we stopped doing reviews a while back, Nick. I'm hoping to get back to it because I've got some new folks who have been on the website this week. Some of the people from over at One of Us, Joe and Sarah, both came on to help me out. Grant is having his second baby, so we've had to kind of juggle some stuff. And I'm trying to get some more people in, and what I'm hoping to do is get to a point where I can record everything that I need for the week on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, right? To get all of my recording out of the way on those 3 days. Then I can have time on like a Monday, a Friday, a Saturday, a Sunday, right, to sit down and do some reviews, right? It's just that as more work fell upon my head, I had to cut stuff, and one of the first things that had to get cut, unfortunately, was the reviews, because they take a lot of time. I have to play the games all the way to completion. It's just difficult. Anyway, we gotta put the put the pedal to the metal here, and that's good because we don't have that many more things left to go. The Witcher is getting its own, also in Witcher news, The Witcher is getting its own pen and paper RPG made by the Cyberpunk 2020 designers.
Okay, what does that mean?
Some of the folks over at CD Projekt Red are basically making a Witcher D&D game that you can play with your friends in a pen and paper, right? So roll dice, sit around a table, drink some Mountain Dew, eat some Cheetos, and be like, I want to cast Ard sign at you, and have fun with your friends. Which,
I don't know how I feel about that.
Have you ever played a pen and paper RPG before?
No, dude, I don't even play the fucking Gwent game that they have in the game. Like, every time they try to shove that down my throat, I'm like, okay, sorry, no, I'm just going to skip that quest altogether.
You would... well, I don't know. Maybe you would, maybe you wouldn't. But sitting around a table with a bunch of nerds rolling dice, it can be an incredibly enjoyable experience. There's a reason that it's still done today, and there's a reason that like Jason Murphy plays D&D with C. Robert Cargill. Like those are 40-year-old men rolling dice, throwing fireballs at each other. All right, so
maybe it's because they're 40-year-old men. Because it was, like, big back when they were teenagers.
Oh, maybe so. I think there's a few of those, though. We got to get you... next time you're in this country, Nick, we'll set up a D&D game or something. I don't know.
That'd be great. Have Jason take the piss out of me as I'm trying to, like, figure out the rules.
No, then you could shoot a fireball at his head and kill the shit out of him.
Probably down a fireball, just to deal with it.
Let's see. Keep your eyes on the internet on Thursday, August 6th, because Blizzard is announcing another expansion to World of Warcraft, which I'm like, wow, still? Okay, cool. Glad you guys are still making money off of that. Thought that Hearthstone might have taken some of your time away, but if you guys can still sell expansions to goddamn World of Warcraft at this point, good on you. So, I'm going to cut.
Just thinking about all my friends who are still playing it. I just can't believe it.
Again, that's one of those things where it's like, I can't afford to just play one game. Like, I tried playing it on Jeff versus Beer, and I got about 2 episodes into it. And it wasn't just the fact that I didn't get out of the starting area. That was a problem, because I couldn't play with other people who played the game, right? There were also a bunch of people who were just kind of shitty about it that made me just be like, all right, if you're just going to be shitty about me playing World of Warcraft, then I'm just going to fucking kill this feature on the website altogether and go do something that I don't have to feel crappy about. 2 more stories and we're done. Next up, Capcom has a Facebook post. Speaking of Capcom, from way back at the beginning, tie it back around again. On the Resident Evil Facebook page, Capcom is asking people, do you think that we should take Resident Evil 2 and do the whole HD remake version of it? So if you're interested in seeing that, I thought the remake that they put out this year of the original Silent Hill was actually pretty good. Cutscenes, but the actual gameplay, it looked pretty good, played pretty good. So if you guys
didn't they already do that?
What
with the Resident Evil game?
An HD version?
HD like re-release. Minus all the shitty acting, but it was practically the same game.
I think the last one was on the GameCube. I think that was the last time that they remastered it. Was that they did remaster it for the GameCube, but I think that's still pre-HD. So I'm looking at the release list here on the Wikipedia page for Resident Evil 2. PlayStation, Windows, N64, Dreamcast, GameCube, and then PlayStation Network. Pretty sure the closest thing you're going to have to an HD version of Resident Evil 2 at this point is either the GameCube version.
Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
With the first, they released they re-released the first one. Recently.
Yes.
That's what I was talking about.
Yes. And so now
sure, why not?
They're asking people to chime in about whether they would like to see 2. I'd like to see 2. 2 was a much more interesting game. It had the city and Chris and Jill and bunch of different endings and stuff. They definitely made the game more interesting and had some more mechanics to it. So I'd love for them to go back in and make it. Or no, wait, that's Leon, not Chris. Sorry, people. Leon Kennedy, not Chris. I didn't recognize him. He didn't have his hair all up in his face yet. He was just a fresh-faced young Raccoon City police officer.
Yeah, it's like you got one with the massive biceps and the other one with the flock of seagulls haircut.
Mm-hmm. All right, and last but certainly not least, August 5th, Mafia III worldwide trailer review. So or reveal, I should say.
Are you a fan of the Mafia games?
No, but that's not to say that I played the first one and the whole thing with the speed limit drove me nuts. I played the second one, but not really enough of it.
Do you realize in the first one there was a button to drive at the speed limit?
Yeah, but it was the 1920s. The speed limit was like 4 miles an hour. And if you went 5, they were like, pull it over. Wee, wee, wee. And I was like, oh.
I kind of like that because there's not been any other game where you could dick around as much. I mean, like, just driving past a red light is enough to get you pulled over in that game.
And wait, you're gonna have to explain to me again why that's a good thing, Nick.
Well, because like it gets you more sucked into the world, you know. Like in Grand Theft Auto, you're doing like the most fucked up crimes ever, and the police are just watching you, like brazenly.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you like, I know, swear at them or something, that's when they arrest you. But not like, you know, dropping a plane downtown and then just nothing happens. That's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't know. I think there's a happy medium there that I felt like Mafia 1 didn't hit. And then I can honestly say that that Mafia 2, I played it probably way after it had originally come out, and it just, it didn't really do as much for. I mean, I want to go back and maybe try it again, but I just remember it being felt like a very empty game, right? Like, there weren't very many NPCs walking around in the world, and so it was just kind of a. And I don't know, maybe it wasn't. Maybe I need to go back and play it again on the PC and just see if it's if it's different.
It was fun. I had lots of fun with that. I mean, I'd love to play it again sometime.
Yeah, maybe we'll do it someday for a Sunday streaming or whatever. And that is all the news that we have. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to answer your questions. I asked last week, Nick, for lots of questions. I got lots of questions this week, so we got a lot of stuff to go through.
Envious. I wish I had questions in my podcast.
Have you asked for questions? Have you even?
Yes, I have.
Have you told them? Okay, well, you know, you got to guilt trip them hard about the questions. You got to do it all the time. You got to be like, you know what?
I need you on my show just to say, God, come on, guys, give Nick a break. Just ask him a question or two. It'll get him through, okay?
You can't use that tone. You must demand questions. More questions. You're sending your goddamn questions to mail, rageselect.com. Anyway, we'll be right back, and we will answer those questions in just a moment.
All right, brilliant.
And we're back. We are back, and it's time for all of the questions. We have so many questions, and so many good questions this week. Mail@rageselect.com is the email address. Nick, what's the email address if people want to send you questions directly? Where should they send those?
Oh, God, I haven't even figured that out. I've just asked people if they could message me through the History Buffs YouTube channel.
Oh, no. No,
dude, I haven't even got my own fucking website yet. Okay, I'm still figuring it out. It's only been a month, Jeff.
Historybuffs@gmail.com. It takes 5 minutes. I'm going to do it for you. I'm going to make that account, and then I'm just going to start asking people from Rage Select to start messaging me, and then I'm going to charge you for the password for it. So that's the way it's going to work. Is that we're going to kick it into high gear. But no. The mail at rageselect.com is the email address if you want to send your questions, and please do send in your questions. If we run out of questions, like last week I was complaining because it's like I think I got into a habit of being like, we don't have enough questions, people email me, and I don't like to do that. But this week we got a lot of questions, and they're all real good, so send them in when you think of them. Whip your phone out, boop, 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 send them in. The first one comes in from Travis, and Travis says, good day. I was listening to episode 111 and heard the call to action for questions, so here is one. Like myself, I take it that you are all avid Star Wars fans and gamers. That's the one with Captain Kirk and the elf guy, right?
Shut up, Jeff. You know what he's on about.
Also, from some of the quotes from various hosts throughout the years, I could tell that the days where playing the good guy in games with a moral choice are well since past. With that in mind, was it a Star Wars game that started turning you down the faster, easier path, or like myself, were you recruited in games like Jade Empire? Or now that I'm now that I'm flashing back TIE Fighter, ever since these games, I don't even try the nice option when murder and mayhem await, as is on the table. Star Wars: The Old Republic Sith Inquisitor reference. What game turned you? Regards, Travis. P.S. I've been meaning to ask. I've been meaning to ask this since the loading bar playthrough of BioShock Infinite Part 2 when you guys picked the ball marked 77. Oh, okay. All right. So you know what, Nick? I feel like the first thing we have to do here is clarify, right? When you play a game that has like a moral component in it, right? When you're just playing a video game like Mass Effect or Witcher 3 is so morally ambiguous that it just doesn't fucking matter. But like, you playing Star Wars or The Old Republic or one of these games. Fallout is a good example. Do you generally tend to trend towards evil or good?
I trend to go towards good, to be perfectly honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, like, I try to go somewhere towards the middle because sometimes they'll have like Shepard in the Mass Effect games, like the good option is kind of like the pussy sort of response, whereas I don't think a real person would sort of react that way, given what the bad guy has just done.
Like,
you know,
hey, man, that's not cool. We should all just sit down and talk about this.
Just smoke a peace pipe, man. That'd be perfectly fine.
Well, I could definitely say that I tend to trend towards the namby-pamby. I tend to go full Paragon whenever I'm playing a game with a moral decision in it. Like, I played through Star Wars, the Knights of the Old Republic, and I played through KOTOR with all of the Sith options, and I felt terrible. I was just like, no. In fact, I even went back and I tried to play through Fallout 3, just being the biggest jerk-off that I could, and I was like, as soon as I blew up Megaton, I was like, no, I can't. I just can't do this. This is too much. This is too much murder.
There's no consequences for that. What I love about Fallout 3 is like you tell your father that you just nuked a city, and he just says, "I'm very disappointed in you."
Mm-hmm.
Like, "Oh, I love you too, Dad. You know, thanks a lot."
Oh, you mean my dad who left me alone and ran out on me, and I almost got murdered? Okay, good job, Dad. Good job, Liam Neeson. No, I'm totally on your side.
Oh, it's like this is what happens when you leave home, Dad. Okay, and I become like a murderer of millions.
Yeah. In fact, I will even give you. I will give you. Oh my God, I can tell you this. I will give you an example of a game. Oh God. Okay, let me see if I can find what it was called. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. There was a game that came out, and let's see when the release date on this thing was. This came out back in the old days when I was working over at Spill. This was May 30th, 2011. It was called Hunted: The Demon's Forge. I don't know if you played this one, Nick, but
I heard about it. I never played it.
It's a third person. You have this big warrior guy, and you have this lady who's an archer. And in the course of the game, there's this evil looking person who comes out. She just looks like the devil woman, right? She's all black, and she comes out of like this evil portal, and she's like, "Hey, if you ever get into trouble, there's these big like bowls of this fluid, and if you drink it, it'll make you super powered. Then you could like take on your enemies and blah blah blah." And then she's like, "All right, and just use that whenever you want to. It's good for you. You'll love it. Blah 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 blah." And then she like walks back into the demon dimension, and I was just like, No, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Even though the game got really hard at one point, and I was just like, nope, I'm not going to succumb to your wily temptation. And then it was great because at the very end of the game, a spoiler for Hunted: The Demon's Forge, some 2011 game that nobody's ever played. She comes out at the very end and she's like, "All right, now you do my bidding," and you're just like, "Fuck you, bitch!" And she's like, "Nah, but haha, I have control of you because you drank from the bowls." And she goes, Bzz, and then the characters look at each other and they're just like, "Yeah, we didn't actually do that. So go fuck yourself." But yeah, I could honestly say that I always tend to trend towards the good stuff. I usually try to go, like right now, Grant and I are in the middle of a Mass Effect 2 playthrough where we're playing as full Renegade Shepard. And I got to say that even though you said it earlier, Nick, I'm sorry, I almost called you Grant. Even though you said it earlier, Renegade Shepard is a total douchehole. Like, full renegade.
I know, yeah, he's total like Jersey Shore douchebag in that game. But
Yeah.
that's what makes him really funny.
Like he's such a. I mean, especially like if you go back to the beginning, if you go back to the very beginning and you play Mass Effect 1 and you just pick renegade whenever it comes up. It's like people will come to them and be like, "Oh, Commander Shepard, I'm here to help you. I've got all these guns and power-ups over here in case you need them." And they'll be like, "Fuck you. I don't need power-ups or guns or anything.
I've had enough of your snide insinuations," and you just like punch them in the face.
Yeah. So I can honestly say that I don't. I mean, I always tend to pick the good path whenever I go through, which is weird because it's funny. Like I said, I was playing back through the HD God of War 3 last week, and it occurs to me that Kratos always chooses the bad option. That motherfucker is. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's at least one point in every game where he just grabs a poor person who has done nothing more but just be too close to Kratos and uses them to like jam a door open or shoves them into a bunch of gears that they stop or like just does some. Even people who are just like, Kratos, I'll help you. Just push the button that's right there, right on that wall, and I will give you everything. And he'll reach through and grab them and then pull their head off and use their head to push the button on the wall and be like, is that what you meant? Right? And then take all their shit or whatever.
That sounds like Kratos. Yeah.
He's a real tool, man. Like Kratos in God of War 1 and God of War 2. Okay, God of War 1, dude had a legitimate grievance with his family and Ares and all that stuff, and great. God of War 2, dude had a legitimate grievance. You know, Zeus killed him and all that stuff. God of War 3... I mean, spoiler for God of War 3 here, right? But Kratos just kills all of the gods that are literally keeping the world running. Like, the seas rise, all the crops die, nobody will stay dead, and there's not a sun anymore by the end. And it's just like, damn it, Kratos, you're just fucking it all up. Like, at the end of the game, there's this whole thing where it's like he's passing the hope that he got from Pandora's box off to the rest of mankind. And I'm like, what the fuck are they going to hope for? The world is destroyed. They're all dead, Kratos. They're all dead. Like, it's not, you can't turn to be a good guy now. You are the villain of this game, right? Like they
wouldn't need fucking hope if you hadn't done all this shit, mate.
Exactly. And like there's this whole kind of subplot of like, well, Zeus has become this oppressive figure and blah blah. And I'm like, could you show me that just briefly? Because the only people's words that I have to take that Zeus is being a bastard are like the Titans, who, you know, are not exactly really, they're not exactly even-tempered Switzerland of the God of War universe, and Kratos, who would just assume grab somebody and shove them into a bunch of gears to keep a door open as even speak to them once. Like, there's a whole sequence in God of War 3 where you find this woman who has no top on and just hanging out, right? And you just grab her and you drag her through these halls, and then you use her to jam a door open. And it's just like, you couldn't have taken like a rock or an enemy corpse or your only
fucking doorstop.
Yeah,
come on, dude.
Maybe one of your blades of chaos. You could just like prop it under the door and then slide underneath it and then grab it and then right. But no, his only option is just like, no, I'm gonna shove this bitch in this door because. And it's just like, well, dude, you're horrible. So, our next question comes in from Tony. And this kind of thematically runs along with what we're doing. Tony says, "Oh, dearest disciples of the demonic dong, after finally playing the Mass Effect trilogy," come on, Tony, come on. "It has become clear to me that no company has an excuse for not making a good Star Trek game. The BioWare method could finally balance the action, sci-fi, character exploration elements that other developers can't seem to get a handle on. Are there any IPs that you can't believe haven't had a good video game adaptation in a long time, if ever?" I think he nailed Star Trek. I think Star Trek is
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like they had that as far as like official Star Trek games. They had that one that was kind of like a tie-in to the movie franchise that was like a third-person action game.
It was meant to be shit, of course.
It wasn't quite as bad as all that, but it was pretty bad.
I don't know. I think Star Trek gets enough limelight as it is. I mean, they got like J.J. Abrams doing those movies. I mean, like Star Trek is now considered cool. You know, it's part of pop culture. I mean, like what I would really want is Stargate to be made into a game series.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, because I'm thinking like because they left everything on a cliffhanger with all the seasons, and I just want them to fucking like do a game which like combines all three of those seasons of those series together. Where I know you get like the Wraith invading the Milky Way galaxy. You have to like have an alliance with the Jafar, and you have to get like the Ori to help you, and just do like one massive big battle at the end. And you could also play,
sorry, Nick. That sentence has set off my nerd detector to like a. It's over.
I know, it's so weird. Like anyone who talks about Star Trek to me, I'm like, fucking geek. But I talk about Stargate, I'm like, oh my god, I am obsessive with that series. I just love it to bits.
Yeah.
So,
No,
I don't understand. Like every there's nothing more fascinating but just going through a Stargate and then going through a different planet every single time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you could make like you could probably even make that into like an episodic thing, right? Where like once a month you put out a new level that's just added in as a new thing, a new place that you can gate to with your Stargate, right? I mean, it's perfectly
exactly,
set up for that sort of thing. Yeah. I think that I honestly, by the exact same token as what you're saying right now, I cannot believe that there hasn't been a high profile and or good, or that Telltale hasn't picked up, and as near as I can tell, they haven't. Doctor Who is set up perfectly as a video game, right? Especially as like an adventure game, because you just you don't even have to have any real story or plot related stuff, because the show doesn't. He's just like, I don't know, let's go do some shit. Like, it's how many years, like 50 years of Doctor Who, and his main overriding thing is like, I don't know, get in this bus, we're just going to go somewhere. It's like, well, why? Fuck it. Like, we're just...
You know what? To this day, I cannot understand why Doctor Who is so big in America.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you guys are bigger fans of us of the show than we are. And that show's been around since the fucking 60s.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's just, I don't know. Do you... I mean, I don't really know anything about this. Do you think that Britain has the same, like, embracing of weird geek culture that we do?
Oh god, yeah. I mean, like, we're obsessed with Star Wars and Star Trek. I mean, like, did you ever watch the TV show Spaced with Simon Pegg?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, that is British geek culture right there, wrapped up in those 2 seasons. Like, yeah, but for some reason, like, I don't know, with me, I was never that fascinated with Doctor Who, and a lot of my mates here seem to agree. But for some reason, Doctor Who resonates more with Americans than I found with a lot of Brits over here.
I wouldn't know. I know that a lot of the people that I've talked to about Doctor Who seems like they're cooling off a little bit with this last season, but...
Oh yeah, all of my mates who are into Doctor Who are American. It's it just befuddles me as to why that is.
I am afraid that okay, so I know that my exposure to Doctor Who came when I was a kid. My dad used to watch it when it was on PBS here, when it was like Tom Baker and stuff, right? When they were putting it on.
Oh, that's the good channel, right?
Right.
PBS.
And well,
that's the posh American channel.
No, not really.
You're going to feel sophisticated about yourself.
No, yeah. At that point, it was just Sesame Street, and then like Masterpiece Theater. Yeah, I guess it always has kind of been the posh American channel. But here, the thing was that like when that shit was going on, when I was watching it like in the 80s, there was nothing like that. It's crazy. Every week you're going to a different time period, and this weird fucking alien dude. Like, the closest thing that you would get to that would be like 70s Star Trek. But even that was much more like Doctor Who was very creative as a concept, and I think that's why it's gone on for as long as it has. But honestly, I'm going to say this right now, that in the answer to Tony's question here, I think that the video game industry has done a very, very poor job of monetizing a lot of geek culture, a lot of there have been some good Lord of the Rings games, but to be honest, there should be a million great Lord of the Rings games. Hell, there are a ton of shitty Star Wars games. It's a movie about space wizards who travel around the galaxy using their magic forces to blow up aliens. How hard is it to make a video game of that? There was one, Firefly was an MMO, and it was phone MMO garbage. How the fuck can you not put together a Firefly game? Farscape would make a good game.
Stargate was a fucking mobile phone game, which sucked, of course.
Yeah.
I just can't understand why, because it's a low-budget Canadian TV show, and yet they never made it into anything bigger. It's just like there's so much you could do with it.
Yeah. If somebody was to make, I know that there were some, because I have a friend who's way into these, into Harry Potter, but like there isn't even that many great Harry Potter games as near as I can tell. Like if you made, let's say that you made, here's the thing. You want a license to print money, Nick? You want a license to print money right now? Put somebody with the experience in open world games like fucking Rockstar on making a Harry Potter game that basically has all of Hogwarts, parts of the Muggle world, the fucking that crazy town that they go to all the time. What's the name of the place over in the snow? They get their winter break. They get to go over there. Hogsmeade, right? The Ministry of Magic, a few other places, right? And then make like an open world Harry Potter game that's got great voice acting and good production value, that's got like an upgrade system for your spells, a character creation system where you can make your own character, and then let you play as your own character who is rewritten into the story of Harry Potter as a friend of Ron and Hermione and Harry over the course of their entire thing. Make it a 20-hour kind of third-person semi-action game where you can customize your character, you go all over Hogwarts and do your shit, and let you play the story of Harry Potter all the way from beginning to end. I swear to God, why would... You know how many people I know who fucking love Harry Potter? They would make $1 zillion right there. Like... if it was just a good game and not a cash grab. And that's the problem that I feel like happens with all of these things, is that they're popular, and so game companies know that they could just cash in on that popularity and sell games regardless of how good they are. Whereas if it's exactly the same thing as what happens in a lot of different industries. If they just made a really solidly good game based on, let's go back to Star Trek, right? You travel around, and they have laser fights, and then they have diplomacy. It is Mass Effect. It's totally Mass Effect. Just make a game. You already have the tech to be able to do it. For fuck's sake, I think that that's one of the reasons people are so gaga about No Man's Sky, right, is the ability to go to a planet, go down to the planet, walk around, get back in your ship, go up. Those motherfuckers are procedurally generating a billion, million, zillion planets instead of generating a billion, million, zillion planets. Put in a relatively decent starship combat model, which has been done 1,000,000 times before, put in some third-person action, put in some Walking Dead-style choices, and then make like a dozen planets that you have to go to and a few scenarios. Give yourself an overarching plot. Boom! Make a Star Trek game, and we will buy the shit out of it. We're nerds. We don't care. We don't care if it's any good. We've already shown you that we don't care, so make it good, and then we'll buy even more of them.
Just shut up and take my money.
Yes.
Just shut up.
Yeah. And if they made a good one, it would be like crossover, where if let's say, Nick, that let's say that somebody came. That's one of the most irritating things about being a gamer, and especially when you have a lot of non-gamer friends, is let's say that you showed somebody Stargate, and they were like, "My God, that's awesome." They came to you later, and they're like, "You know what? I think they'll make a really good video game. Has anybody ever made a video game about it?" And you'd have to just be like, "No." And then you'd be like, "Well, none." And you'd be like, "No, there's some, but they're shit." Like, really? There's no good one? If somebody came to you that just watched the original, they just got through watching Star Wars for the first time, and they came to you and they were like, "Man, I just watched Star Wars. I love that movie. I really would like to play a game based on Star Wars." Like, what could you tell them? KOTOR? Maybe Star Wars: The Old Republic, the online one, if they were into
Jedi
MMOs.
Academy, I would probably have to go to.
But do you even think that people who had just watched that would be willing to put up with a game that looked that goddamn old? I just played Jedi Academy. They released a patch that lets you play it on the Oculus.
That is fucking sad. That like the best Star Wars game I could think of was like years and years and years and years ago.
Yeah,
there hasn't been anything good. What was that? There was those Jedi Unleashed, the Force Unleashed.
Force Unleashed.
Games.
Yeah, they're okay.
They sucked.
That's. I feel like that's a bit much, but Okay, you know what? I want to say a little something about Harry Potter here. There are Harry Potter video games out there. Oh wait, hold on. Yeah, Xbox 360. They did make games for them. I've never really. Okay, I'm just looking at these. I've never played them before. I'm sorry, folks, if you played them. They're big fans of them. But
no, I played them. I played the first one, I think, the Philosopher's Stone, and it was just okay. It wasn't amazing, but it was definitely a cash and grab.
Okay, yeah. I don't know. To me, it just seems like get Bethesda to make you a Harry Potter. I don't know. It just seems like the sort of thing that would be like if you just took it seriously. Like I'm looking at these games, right? And here's Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone in 2001 on the PlayStation, PlayStation 2, Xbox, and GameCube. Was developed by a bunch of companies I have never goddamn heard of.
Yeah.
Just why? Why not?
The thing is, they just need to do some games that are like continue the story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that. We all know the story of Harry Potter. We want to know what happens next. That would be interesting.
Yeah, or yeah. I mean, I think either one of those would probably be fine. It's just that again, they have to make an honest to god good video game and not just cash in on the name.
Yeah.
So, all right, this one comes in from our friend Patio, who says, "Howdy do, Rage Crew. First off, I have to admit that for probably a solid minute of the second Arkham Knight cold open, I wondered how Jason was doing Loco Steve's voice without moving his mouth." So
Wait,
what he's saying here is that we had an intro to one of our videos where we quotey fingers called Loco Steve. So it was Jason doing the voice of Loco Steve. And so it was my puppet and Jason's puppet. We were like on the phone with Loco Steve, and he's like, "I don't know how Jason was doing Loco Steve's voice without his puppet moving his mouth up and down." That's wonderful. That just goes to show that you can shove a pair of googly eyes on a piece of felt. We're just like, it's a person. Okay, short question. Do you think a $200 to $300 Oculus is worth it just for use as an infinitely huge screen for watching movies? A serious question. You push Grant to the edge and he goes murder crazy. You're forced to go into witness protection. What place, career, and name do you pick for your new life? Thanks for all that sweet puppet on puppet action. All the best, Patio. I'm not afraid of Grant, Patty. I think I could take him I'm not running. This is the line. No further.
Grant is a really nice guy. Okay, I feel bad every time someone takes rips the shit out of him.
Yeah. If I had to move to a new place, career, and name, okay, I would say either New York or California. Probably New York City because I've always wanted to live in the Big Apple. As far as career goes, I don't care. Hobo, drifter, Kung Fu Master. I'm going to be the Kung Fu Master in New York City, and new name is going to be Thunderballs Thunderballs Von Nutslap. There we go. So, do you want to answer this question, or do you want to, what place, career, and name would you pick if you had to start a new life, Grant? Or Nick, sorry. God damn it. God, what am I?
God damn it, man, that's my name.
Yeah.
Los Angeles.
Okay.
Simply because I want to go somewhere warm.
Mm-hmm.
Acting, because that sounds like fun.
Mm-hmm.
And as for a name,
Jude Law. Nobody's got that name yet. It's a great name. I just made it up.
Toby Mitchell. Why not?
Okay. There you go. So as to your other question, Patty, do you think a $200 to $300 Oculus is worth it for use as an insanely huge screen for watching movies? This is what I'm going to tell you right now, is that I can't really answer that question.
Because you have one?
No, see, here's the thing: is I have one, but the one that I have, like, if the DK2 that I have was the full production model, I would say no, because that thing, like right now, it's got it's the plastic on it gets really warm and it's a little tight on the way that it is on your head. I know that with the production model, they've done a lot of work to both make it lighter, to make it breathe more, and to make it easier to put on your head and wear for extended periods of time. So I would probably want to put that on my head. But this is what I can say to you. I don't know what your movie watching predilection is like, right? But I I have a desk. I'm sitting at my desk right now, and I've got a 19.5-inch widescreen monitor or something like that. I've got a second monitor that's a 4x3 monitor, and then I've got a a TV to the left that we play all our games on. I've used the Oculus to basically simulate a giant movie screen, but what I've kind of come to in my movie watching life is that it's not that much different than just moving your head a lot closer to the screen. I mean, but then I'm crazy because I don't know. It's hard. It's hard because I don't know. I'll tell you. Okay, here's the thing. I will tell you what your $200 to $300 Oculus is worth it for more than a big screen for watching movies. It's the fact that you can watch 3D movies without wearing glasses. You're just wearing the Oculus, so you're watching like what would be the equivalent of a big, big huge screen movie, and it's 3D at the same time. And the 3D is very powerful because the Oculus has control over both of your eyes. So, like, I watched a little bit of Guardians of the Galaxy in 3D on there, and it was really an experience. I would definitely say you'd have to get your hands on one of the production models and see whether or not it's comfortable enough to wear for an extended period of time. Because that's the thing that tended to be a problem for me, was that after about an hour of watching a movie, about halfway through the movie, I would just be like, I have to take this thing off because it feels like I'm in a gas mask at this point. But it is cool for that. I mean, if the Oculus is $200 and you have a computer that can run it, I don't know, maybe. I mean, you're definitely going to get a bigger TV experience out of the Oculus than you're going to get out of buying a TV, unless you've got the money for a gigantic plasma screen.
Or you could just sit closer to the telly.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, just get right up against the TV like you did when you were a kid, and it's going to ruin your eyes. You'll go blind. All right, this next one comes in from Russ. Russ says, "Hey, Jeff and company. I like stories and characters in games, and was wondering, what do you point to as an effective, well-written character death, be it of a main character or a supporting character? What made you feel something when you saw them die, and what death was handled horribly, in your opinion? Always great to hear from you guys. Keep raging, Russ."
I'm curious about this. I bet your answers could be the same as mine.
Then you go first. I won't steal your answer.
Solid Snake.
Let's see.
Oh, shit, he didn't die.
He didn't die.
Fuck. He should have died. Sorry, I'm just like... I thought he was going to die when he's going through that last bit in the game, where he's like going through that radio wave sort of thing. Oh, God. Okay, this is hard. No, sod it. I was... Because I can't say Shepherd, because even that was like disheartening.
Stop for just a second, Nick. By the way, hey yo, big old spoilers for deaths. So we're gonna make sure when we say the names when we talk about this stuff, Nick, make sure that you say the name of the game first before you say the name of who dies, so that people can just jump ahead if they feel like it. So people can scramble really quickly to try to get their phone out of their pocket and like,
that feels so bad. I'm sorry.
No. I don't think we're talking about. We haven't mentioned anything for games that like come out that have come out recently, right? So a lot of this stuff I consider to be fair game after a certain amount of time, because you can't. This is what I say. I feel like you can't keep details of stuff locked up infinitely. And even me with my spoiler stuff, I figure once something has been out for like a year or two, it's kind of like if you get pissed off that people are talking about Game of Thrones and the fact that that Sean Bean is no longer on that show, that's on you, bro. You've had plenty of time to go watch season 1 of Game of Thrones.
Fucking 5 years to watch season 1.
Right. So anyway,
but anyway, I guess the proper way I can answer this question is like every time I play Mass Effect 3, I'm having a blast, because usually when I play the games, I play it from 1 to 3, and in the last mission of that game, I get proper bummed out. Like I don't even want to finish it because I know it's coming to an end. So even though when I first played the game I hated the original endings, I still feel really sort of down when I know that the character, that Shepard, is going to die at the end of it, because I just had such a blast playing them all.
I mean, I could say that in Mass Effect 3, the end for Mordin Solus was one of the more emotional parts for me in the franchise. because he was one of my favorite. He was my favorite character from Mass Effect 2, and so him dying, especially because his death kind of like ends the story arc of what he with the genophage and stuff like that. That his sacrifice is one of the like really, really, really. It's worth it. That's the whole point about character death, is whether that character death is used as something cheap to try to like draw you in to just be like, yeah, fuck you. Then it's not really worth it to me. Like, I'll tell you this. When the main character on the U.S. side dies of radiation poisoning in Call of Duty, God damn it, I just broke my own rules. In Call of Duty Modern Warfare, when the main character that has that, the helicopter crashes and then you're like crawling through the wreckage looking at that nuclear explosion and then he dies, that was affecting. But then they started doing that in every iteration of Modern Warfare, and it was just like,
that was affecting.
It was affecting to me. I mean, it was one of the first times that I played a game. What do you mean? What? It was one of the first times that
What the fuck are you talking about? Like, he never said anything. What the? You had no personality whatsoever. Why would you be disheartened by the fact that some nameless protagonist just falls dead?
Well, no, but because it was your protagonist. See, that was the thing that I felt was so affecting with that, was that generally speaking, when you play a game like Call of Duty, when you play like a first-person shooter around that particular point in time, your character, you knew, was invincible. Your character wasn't going to die, or if they're going to die, it was going to be at the very end of the game in some kind of like climactic thing. Like, to me, killing off that character halfway through the game was like the equivalent of the fucking shower scene in Psycho, because it changed everything suddenly. It gave the game more stakes from the fact that you knew that they would kill off the character that you were playing, right? It's I don't know. It was affecting to me, but that's,
Yeah, no, I didn't feel anything. Because, like, I'm sorry, but if you played, like, an 80s montage of, like, the best moments you had together, you and that character, it would just be literally you doing headshots the entire montage. Like, there's nothing that connects you to that character. Mm-hmm. Whereas with, the Shepard or any other character of the Mass Effect games, there are genuine human moments in it. That doesn't... like, all the moments you remember from those games have nothing to do with shooting people. There with the quiet moments where you're talking in your office or talking on the battlefield or something, just very quiet moments.
I don't know. It's an outlier. It's definitely not, number one on my list, but it was definitely something that affected me at the time. I was actually just looking down this list, and I got three. Let's see. Wait, there was one more that I was just thinking of, and I just forgot what it was. Hold on, maybe I'll remember it. So Rockstar does pretty good with character death, right? Or at least I think they do. There's two specific characters that come to mind. One is fucking Johnny Marsdong, Gary Marzipan, at the end of Red Dead Redemption. I was just like, oh, shit. Like,
which guy was that?
The main character of Red Dead Redemption.
Oh, I just thought that was epic. I wasn't like heartbroken or anything. Like, wow, what a way to go. That's Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid.
Yeah, I don't know. It still was affecting to me, but I think the one that was probably most affecting to me was in the end of Grand Theft Auto 4, the way that the game asks you who... I say this all the time. I really don't feel that Rockstar gets enough credit for this. The end of Grand Theft Auto 4, the game essentially asks you, who do you like better, Roman or the lady, right? And because you have to pick a mission, right? You have to kind of pick to side with one of them, and it affects it. But then the game uses that choice, like an hour or two after that, to pick which one of them gets gunned down in the street. That whichever one you say that you like more, that's the one that they choose to get rid of later on. So I thought that was... I've always felt like that was a very smart move on their part, and that it's always made a very a good impact on me.
Yeah, I agree with you there on that.
But no list about the saddest deaths in video games would be complete, Nick, if I didn't mention the fucking... In Shadow of the Colossus, I spent a long time trying to get that horse not to die. I was like, no, I can jump. No, I thought it was just a timing thing.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yep. I thought it was a timing thing.
So bummed out.
Yeah, where it was just like, oh, come on. No, he was my best friend.
Did you hear that they're going to they're making The Last Guardian? They're releasing it finally after all this time.
Yeah, Nick, I run a video game website.
Oh, shut up. Okay. I was having a genuine geek moment with you. I thought you were connecting. Oh, fuck off, man. Could you just say, like, yes, Nick, I'm looking forward to that game as well?
Yeah. Yes, Nick, I'm looking forward to that game as well. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that, I mean, there's plenty more. I could say that as far as horribly handled death, I mean, I think it's just, like I said, whenever they use it for shock value, then that is when I kind of just go, meh.
Black Ops was pretty bad.
Mm-hmm.
They killed Ice Cube. Like, oh, okay, he's dead. They did that Deer Hunter ripoff scene.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I'm looking through a website right now that's like the most affecting deaths in video games, because sometimes I'll cheat like that. But I can actually say that they've got one on here. This is very, very controversial, Nick. Joel's daughter in The Last of Us was such a cheap fucking shot. Man, that was some cheap shit in the beginning of that game where do you remember that?
Yeah, who said that it was cheap?
I say it's cheap. I say it's cheap. I say it's cheap as...
That was brilliant. That suckered me in.
Oh, it's cheap as... No. This shit was cheap as balls.
Fucking cheap. It's brilliant. It sets the tone for the rest of the game.
You don't know. She could have been the worst little motherfucker in the world, but you're like, little blonde girl got shot.
Up, man. Like, everyone who's like... you play that scene for anyone who's not even into video games, and they're going to tear up. That's how effective that scene is. Oh, wait. Are you fucking with me? Are you taking the piss?
I'm not fucking with you, and I'm not taking the piss, because here's the thing. It's a cheap fucking move. It's like, you know this already. You bring in an adorable, like, just like she's just the perfect child for the first 10 minutes, and then she's scared, and you're scared because she's scared, and then they kill her, and it's like, it's shorthand. It's not, you don't know anything about her. She could have a meth habit and be fucking dudes. I don't know, but you know that because they show you a kid, that's one of those things that pisses me off, is killing off kids, because killing off kids is a cheap ass way to make the audience feel something. You don't have to say anything about the kids. You don't have to, you don't have to even to describe them in any way, shape, or form. That it's just like, we killed off this kid. Isn't that a terrible thing? And you go, yes, that is a terrible thing. That is an awful thing. But my God, like, I don't
think you have enough faith in audiences, mate. Because people pick up on this shit. If it's handled poorly, then people think that it's absolute garbage. But that was handled really, really well. The acting was superb, and the writing was relevant to the rest of the story.
Yes.
It's about, like, Joel finding, like, a second daughter and building up that relationship, even though he's resistant at the beginning of the game. It's not like fucking John Wick.
No.
It's not like a puppy.
No,
Then the puppy would absolutely be, justifying you taking the piss out of it.
I was more pissed off when the puppy died in John Wick
Oh, of course you were.
The puppy doesn't know any better. No, look, I'm not trying to say that all the things that you said are fine. It irks me a little bit, especially in the beginning, because it's a shorthand. That's why it pisses me off, because we don't know anything about that kid. We see her room. Okay, fine. We know some things about the kid. We know her relationship with Joel. We know she's a Disney princess with no mother or whatever. We know stuff about her and whatever. But the thing is that, like, that it's like killing a dog. Like, Brian Salisbury hates this shit, and I talk to him all the time about it, right? It's like killing a dog in a movie. Like, I don't know anything about that dog. The dog could be terrible. It's going to be shitting all over the place and likes to bite old ladies, and it's racist as hell. It's a terrible dog. But the thing is that there's some imagery that I feel like people can use to gloss over certain parts of the characterization and make you instantly like connect to people. And sometimes, and I get really irritated when it's killing or hurting kids, because to me it's like you didn't have to, I don't know, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Okay, I retract all this stuff. Last of Us Game of the Year 2015. Whatever.
Moving right along.
Yeah, let's move on. I got to stop talking now before I get myself further in trouble. All right, this one comes in from Clayton S. Clayton says, "Dear Jeff and Nick, a few months ago I wrote in about hype and its effect on us. I mentioned how hype can make us hate a great game because it wasn't the one that we constructed in our minds. Recently, I've been seeing this happen in reviews for Arkham Knight and the Batgirl DLC. For example, the complaints about A Matter of Family's length, saying, 'It's only 90 minutes? What an outrage!' As if they were expecting another 10 to 12-hour game. I actually put up a timer when I played through it, and it's about 2 hours long, which I don't think is bad for $6.99. My question for you is, what do you think companies can do to keep hype from happening? It's one thing to get your fans pumped for something, but as we're seeing, hype can hurt a great game and company. Or is the hype train inevitable and nothing can be done to prevent it on the developer's end? Thank you for reading my question. And remember, if you don't want to get hit by Batman, don't forget to look up Clayton S." Clayton, I honestly think that the Matter of Family's length irritation is legitimate. Like, mostly because, and here's why. Playing as Batgirl in A Matter of Family is no different than playing as Batman in Arkham Knight, except you don't have a Batmobile, right? You're not an open world. You're in a smaller arena. It's a little, sandbox, right? But it's not that different. Like she has one extra gadget. It's the hacking. Have you played that yet, Nick? You say you're playing Arkham Knight. Have you played the Batgirl DLC?
Unfortunately, not yet. No.
Okay.
I lent my copy out to my brother.
Oh, okay. It's, to me, I like DLC. So, you know who I think does really, really good DLC is Bethesda. Because when Bethesda adds something via DLC, they really add something to the game. They add something that can even change the way that you play the game. Like when Hearthfire, whatever it was, came out for Skyrim, that lets you build your own house, right? Which lets you have kids, and you could like grow stuff. You could decorate it the way that you wanted to, and you had this place where you could go back to and play. It was cool. It added something into the game. Whereas this is just like it's about, but I beat it in an hour. You beat it in 2 hours. Let's split the difference. About 90 minutes worth of basically just more of what was in Batman Arkham Knight, except you're playing as Batgirl instead of Batman, and you have one new tool. She's got a hacking device that can hack stuff around the arena. I don't necessarily think that that the fans shouldn't be demanding a little bit more than just like more of the same. I mean, it's a prequel. It's got some different stuff with a few. I'm not going to spoil it. There's some characters in there, but for the most part, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, would you feel all right with $7 for 2 hours worth of additional just kind of Arkham Knight combat? Would that be all right with you? Do you think?
Not really. I think a little bit more, but because actually, I'm just trying to remember like some of my favorite DLC. How long were the Mass Effect DLC? It was like 3 hours, 4 hours.
Depends on the DLC. Let me see. The
Leviathan, let's say.
Leviathan was a few hours, maybe 3 hours, maybe a little bit longer.
Okay,
but
that I was comfortable with. Like that was fine, but I don't know, 90 minutes. Like that's.
Yeah. Plus, it's the sort of the sort of thing where it's like I'm looking right now at Steam, and I'm doing I'm looking at games that are under $5 on Steam right now. And let's see, Borderlands 2 is on sale for $5 right now. The Room, Binding of Isaac, Outlast, Super Hexagon, VVVVV. Original XCOM. There's a lot of stuff that's on here for $5 that's well worth your time. That's longer than a couple of hours. I don't know. I feel like as far as your question about the hype train goes, Clayton, is that it's this sort of thing where companies are always going to try to hype you up as much as they possibly can for your game, because the way that games are set up right now, and I don't know, maybe the Steam refund stuff will help with this, but the way things are set up right now, you pre-order, they get your money, you buy a season. I can't count did you buy the season pass for Arkham Knight? God damn it. Fucking brain.
God, stop calling me Grant.
I'm not gonna stop calling you Grant.
We worked together for 3 years.
I know. Nick, I'm sorry. Nick. I think it might be because
It's okay.
My dad's name is Nick, and so I don't just call you Dad instead. Anyway, did you buy the season pass for Arkham Knight?
Hell no, dude. I don't buy season pass for anything anymore.
That's what I kept running into people who the day, like the week that it came out, who were like, yeah, I bought it. And it's like, but you don't even know what all the DLC is yet. If it's just a bunch of more challenge maps, or okay, they did announce that that's going to be story-based DLC, right? But I don't know. I want my DLC to add something additional to the game. I wanted to add more to the game. Like if I had my druthers, the Arkham Knight DLC, when you got done with the DLC would be focused around a new gadget, right? And then they would let you take that gadget back out into Arkham Knight and add it back into the game. Like I would much rather have that than just a little vignette, because honestly the just the basic gameplay loop for Arkham Knight, it's kind of a little stale at this point. I mean, the stalking missions are very similar to the stalking in both Arkham City and Arkham Asylum. The fighting has some new stuff, but it's not dramatically different than it was in those last two games. So I don't know.
For me, it has to expand on the universe. Just add like some more story elements that make you go, oh, now I see what the bigger picture is. I can understand what's truly going on.
Yeah, me too. I could totally see that. I don't know. I probably would want a little bit more. But the answer to your question as far as like, is the hype train inevitable? At this point, yes, because everybody, when anything happens, everybody loses their shit. I've had to actually hide about 7 people on Facebook who just are the people that I know who will post articles that are like, script leak for Justice League movie. At the end, Batman and Superman fuck Darkseid to death. Right? Like, that's the headline, like, to the story that they're putting up on Facebook. I'm just like, well, I didn't want to know that it was DP with Darkseid. Come on, man. Like, I wanted to see that in the movie and go, oh, when it happened, instead of reading about it on Facebook. Anyway, we got a few more questions here. I think I'm going to cut a few of these. I think that some of these are actually a little bit shorter. So I had one here that was going to... let's see. Okay. I'm going to cut this one, and we're going to go with this one from Prince Thomas, who says, hey, Jeff and Nick, loyal patron and follower of the Dong, Prince Thomas here. My question, following your recommendations, The Count of Monte Cristo and The Boys, which turned out to be great, what is the worst thing that has been recommended to you by a friend who believes that this thing will be your jam? How hard did you judge that quotey fingers friend afterwards? Cheers and all the best, Prince Thomas. You figure when I pick these questions out, Nick, that I would come up with a good answer before we started the show.
That's really hard.
Let's see. Things that have been... I try to think of not the worst thing. Oh, I have a friend who is just... he gets fixated on things and then won't let them go. He made me watch 3 episodes of this show... 5-ounce mouse, 10-ton mouse, something ounce mouse. I'll look it up, whatever it is. 12-ounce mouse that I was not in the mood to watch when I watched him. And I maybe need to go back and watch it again, but it's an old Adult Swim show that was just kind of like, eesh. Yeah. I can also say... okay, things that people recommended to me that when I just got done with them, I was just like, what the fuck? Let me think here. I don't know, man. I'm really open to this kind of stuff. And I tend to... I'm trying to think if there's been... I know Jason's recommended a bunch of horror movies to me that ended up but see, I enjoyed most of those. Do you have anything for this, Grant? God damn it, brain!
Stop calling me Grant.
I'm sorry. I'm
Jeff
sorry.
is not going to bring him back.
I'm
okay?
sorry.
He's not coming back.
I'm sorry. I'm slapping my. I'm hitting myself in my bald head. I'm slapping my forehead right now. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Bad things that have been recommended to me. We might have to skip over this one.
You recommended me to play Guild Wars.
What's that?
You recommended me to play Guild Wars.
Yeah. And you did, and you now judge me harshly for it.
Yeah, it sucked. It really did suck. Fortunately, I didn't have to review it in the end because that was right when things, went down.
Mm-hmm.
But that's probably why I hated you more for it. Because, are you telling me that I had to fucking play this game and we never even got to fucking review it? Oh, brilliant!
I gotta be Guild Wars 2.
That was it. That was Guild Wars 2. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I think the only thing that I can think of that might come into this category would be music, maybe. Nope. I'm a pretty amenable guy. I could find a lot of things to like in a lot of things, Prince Thomas. I'm sorry. I'm just not having I'm thinking about it. I mean, I could say that everybody out there keeps telling me that Fallout New Vegas is the best thing that's ever happened to the world, and that it'll, give you a Beej and a an HJ and a QJ and a XJ. But I don't believe it. So I mean, I played it and I didn't enjoy it, and people are just like, "But why?" And I'm like, "Well, I didn't like it, and you did, and that's fine, and this is America. But why? Your taste is garbage. I hate you." And it's like, all right, fine, whatever. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have an answer to that question. Sorry. I should pick a better question. Let's see. This next one comes in from Detective FDRRR, who says, "Hey guys, Detective FDRRR here. I have a short and simple question. How would you feel if Adam Sandler stopped making movies and just made video games from now on? I actually kind of enjoy the thought personally because of how bizarre it could be. Thanks for all the hard work that you put in and for making such an awesome site. P.S. Think Joe is an awesome addition to the cast. Reminds me of Cyril from Archer." Oh, that's nice. Detective FDRRRR. I don't want that motherfucker anywhere near video games, honestly.
I would be lying if I said that I didn't find Waterboy funny if I'm drunk, every now and again. But if someone said to me, you will go through your entire life never knowing an Adam Sandler movie, I could live with it. It wouldn't be the worst thing to happen to me. And the way he is now, I don't want him to be doing any form of entertainment, to be perfectly honest. I don't even want him doing an audiobook for some reason.
You just want him to go away? Just go away, Adam Sandler. Just shoo.
To think about all the great actors, do you remember? I was just watching Apollo 13 the other day. Do you remember the actor Gary Sinise?
Sure.
Do you remember how good of an actor he was?
Sure.
Why the fuck is he stopped making movies and Adam Sandler still keeps going? Why? I really loved him in Mice and Men. I loved him in Apollo 13, or in Ransom. And yet we still have Jack and Jill.
Well, not to mention, I'm actually going to put myself through the horror of Pixels one of these days, just because I don't believe in pissing on a thing until you've watched it. So I'm going to go watch it so that I can come here and just be like, worst thing ever, gave me cancer, die in a fire, fuck you, Adam Sandler. I mean, there's a part of me that thinks that. Actually, there's a part of me that maybe wishes that Adam Sandler. Okay. There's a part of me that kind of wishes Adam Sandler would make video games because I'm sure they would be so garbage that it just wouldn't sell. Right? You can't just have a party with your friends and then the result be a video game. Fortunately, he's figured out you can just go on vacation with your friends and make movies, but you can't just go on vacation with Chris Rock and then have a video game at the end of your vacation. So he'd actually have to work, which maybe would, I don't know, maybe bring out something in the guy instead of just lowest common denominator stuff. All right. Let's see. I'm going to do this one real fast. Hey, Rage Select, longtime listener and fan. I have a quick question. Were you planning on organizing any type of meetup during RTX weekend? I know a lot of people will be in town, so it should be a good turnout/good time. In a perfect world, would you be able to? You would be able to do a live Rage cast, but I know it's short notice. Thanks for all the hard work. This is from Demian. I need to find out when RTX is. RTX 2015 is a week from today.
That's way short notice.
That's pretty short. I don't know. I mean, it may be the sort of thing where we can just tell people where we're going to be. You know, maybe like go to a bar on a Friday night and just be like, hey, if you want to go, we're going to be here. And then whoever wants to show up can show up. But I don't think we have time to actually just organize a whole specific thing. We don't get invited to RTX. And, yeah, this year I don't have the in to get a pass or anything. So, you know, I probably won't be going. But you should have fun. And I don't know if you're in town. You know, Grant is pretty good social secretarying us. Jason's good. If you tweet at those guys, they will get things put together. I tend to forget about emails. I'm bad that way, so it's less good when you go through
It's
me.
true, he is.
I am. All right, one last question. This one comes in from Manil, who says, hey, Jeff and Nick, do you find that your music tastes run too esoteric to be any good at a party? This weekend I tried, but it's hard when your only party time music is only vaguely so. As always, love what you do and do what you do forever and ever. Manil Arachige. He wrote it out phonetically, so I'm reading it phonetically.
Okay.
Okay, Nick, do you find that your musical tastes run too esoteric to be any good at a party?
I'm gonna feel retarded, but what does esoteric mean?
Too weird, off the wall, like specific niche.
No, I don't think it's appropriate. I mean, like if you're at a house party, for example, I love the Black Keys, but not everyone's gonna like the Black Keys if I play it there. I mean, generally, you want to play like this generic crowd pleaser crap, which is, you know, okay. It's kind of the kind of music that like people can listen to, be like, it's all right. I mean, like it's just on in the background. Or you have to go through the other thing where you have to go really nostalgic to get a response out of everyone. So if you play like was it House of Pain, Jump Around, but you tend to have like few in between of those songs in your iPod or iPhone. At least I find anyway. I love listening to soundtracks. That's my thing. Or like just like really random songs that I heard in a movie or a video game that I'm like, oh, this is brilliant, but not something for everyone to enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, I could say my musical tastes are hidden, secret, and I don't talk to anybody about them. Because when I was a teenager, and I'm even more freaked out and paranoid about it now, Nick. But as a teenager, my friends were really harsh about the bands that I liked, and it gave me kind of a complex about the bands that I like. So I don't tend to talk to very many people about music. I tend to nod and say, yes, about...
Dude, same thing happened to me, man. Like, I've got, like, so much shit on my old iPod that I'm like, why did I listen to it? And the only reason why was because of my mates. Like, my mates back in the day were, like, into, like, Green Day and Bowling for Soup. And I listened to it and I'm just like, that is fucking awful music. But then again, I was listening to, like, Massive Attack and Portishead and 07. Kind of like really weird stuff for like a 16-year-old to be listening to.
Okay, so here's the problem, Nick, is that I listen to Bowling for Soup, Green Day, Massive Attack, and Portishead.
Okay. How the fuck does Massive Attack go with Bowling for Soup?
I don't listen to them at the same time. It's like I put on a track from each of them and put one in the left ear and one in the right ear. Sometimes when you drive
because they're both different types of like moods.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Massive Attack is for chilling out. Bowling for Soup is like...
Yeah.
I don't know, like, wanted to get ID'd by going into a bar. Not getting into the bar, but getting ID'd at the bar.
Yeah, but here's the... Okay. again, this is where the problem comes, right? Is that people, especially people in their teenage years who are really into specific types of music, tend to get really, really, really goddamn judgmental with people who are into other types of music. And so I'm like, there's no reason why, because it's this shit's played me my entire life, Nick. Shit's played me my entire life, all right? And this is not just music, this is everything. Is that I know enough film nerds in this town who get really goddamn judgmental with you if you like, I know I use it all the time as an example, Transformers. Hell, the internet is really, like, they will be like, well, there's no way that you could like a Michael Bay movie and also watch artsy-fartsy deep stuff and understand what's going on there. Like, it's like they use your taste in a certain thing as a shorthand to judge you entirely as a person. And you just did it. Because the thing is that Bowling for Soup is a band from right around the corner from here. They've got jaunty, upbeat pop punk stuff. Portishead is a wonderful band that I've been listening to since their first album came out. It's all the way across your side. They're lovely. They're all slow and fucking chill out and mellow and shit like that. And in between, you've got dumb techno, and you've got 80s pop music, and you've got death metal and lounge music and polka.
The thing is, Bowling for Soup was part of the pop punk era.
Uh-huh.
You know?
What the fuck is wrong with listening to pop punk? It's catchy.
Pop punk? Oh my god. No one listens to pop punk unless they were from, like, our sort of generation.
Mm-hmm.
Because you got pop punk with Bowling for Soup and Avril fucking Lavigne. You know what I mean? Or Blink-182. No one listens to them anymore.
Okay. Listen, I listened to them at the time, right? And I still have some of that shit on my Spotify mix, as well as other stuff from the 80s and stuff from the 90s and all kinds of alterno rock, horrible top 40s radio shit. I'll listen to Lady Gaga from time to time. I'm not afraid to say that. Her shit's catchy as hell, and I'll listen to it.
You're older than me. You should know better. No. You should know better.
Okay.
You're older than me.
And there exactly is the problem. What know better? What know better? If I like that music, is there a reason for me to be like, well, I'm just too intellectual to listen to Lady Gaga. She's for the masses. Fuck off with your Tears for Fears. They're just too...
I don't understand it. Because you listen to, like, 07 and Portishead, which is, like, fantastic music. Still holds up to this day.
Uh-huh.
People love it and use it in movies all the time. Listen to it.
Yep.
And then you got fucking Bowling for Soup.
Yeah.
How the fuck do you get Bowling for Soup with Portishead?
Because I like the music, and I don't think that I think that the problem that you're getting here is that just because Bowling for Soup is not, like, artsy or intellectual, or they're just dumb, catchy pop music, dumb, catchy pop music has its place. And what you're doing right now, Nick, is judging somebody because they like dumb fucking pop music. Like, why? Why do you have to not like Bowling for Soup just because you do like Portishead? That's like saying...
I gave in because of peer pressure. That was the only reason why I had it on my fucking iPod.
Okay, but you see, here's the thing. You don't have to like it, but what you're saying is that it's like, because you can enjoy a fancy wine or a whiskey that's been aged for a long time, that for whatever that reason is, that you have to fucking hate cheap beer for the rest of your life. You have to just be like, oh, well, this is garbage, and I'm not going to drink it anymore, right? Like, there's a time and a place. You can eat a wonderful sushi dinner and then have Taco Bell the next day. You know, it's not like taste isn't a thing where you just elevate up to this level where everything below is just beneath me. You can like one thing and then like another thing. And that's what gives me a fucking complex about this, is because when people hear that you like Michael Bay and Bowling for Soup and Lone Star, they make this instantaneous set of assumptions that you're just some kind of horrible person. And it's like, well, you can like what you want to like. You're not...
Okay, yes, Jeff, but do you listen to them anymore?
Sometimes, yes. Yes. Oh, God. Sometimes I do.
About when you want to feel fucking nostalgic about your younger days. I'm talking about for, like, genuine enjoyment.
Sometimes, yes. Sometimes, yes, I do.
Wait. Do you listen to Limp Bizkit still?
No, I've never listened to Limp Bizkit. That was bad. And I'm going to judge everybody that listens to Limp Bizkit. You can't listen to Limp Bizkit. That's just garbage music for shit people, right? That's exactly.
It's like, that's where you draw the line.
No. All the rest of that was very...
anyone who's into Limp Bizkit.
It was very heartfelt. But Limp Bizkit, come on now. Let's be pretty serious about this. Let's not go overboard. All right. No, I mean, here's the thing: is that I try really hard, and I know that like one of the worst things that I feel that the internet has done, Nick, is make this this conversation that we're happening right now something that could happen to anybody at any time for anything, like liking a thing and then you judging that person for liking or disliking a thing and making a bunch of assumptions about what kind of person they are based on that. Because
everyone's guilty of that, though.
But
like the way I feel about the Star Wars prequels and Jason liking them, I still can't get into my mind what it is that he likes about those movies.
But do you think less of him as a person because he likes those movies?
No, not because of those movies.
Nice. All right, well, you know what? We're going to wrap it up there. That's the perfect place. Sick Jason Byrne. That's the end of it. I hope that you guys all enjoyed yesterday's Rage Cast. I hope I'm still alive at this point. I'm supposed to eat a hot pepper or something. I don't know what the fuck is going to happen there, but hopefully my house hasn't been burned to the ground and that we can do this next week. Nick, plug your... Get your stuff out there once again for anybody who hasn't gone.
All right, guys, I'm doing a movie review show that focuses only on historical movies. If you ever watch a historical movie and wonder how accurate it was, check out my show. It's on History Buffs. If you type in History Buffs on YouTube, it's the first one up. You Google History Buffs London. It's the Facebook page. So I'm uploading the next episode on Saturday, and I'm doing a new episode every 2 weeks, and I've already got 3 episodes out. So come check it out.
Woo! All right, with that, we're going to be done, and I'm gonna go listen to some Bowling for Soup and watch Transformers. So I'll catch you guys later. Okay. Oh, no, I know. I know what you think of me now, Nick. It's good. I know.